welcome to another show. Now, somebody sent me an email. Go, Eric, what does your title mean? My Gypsy Road can't take me home, but the Sasquatch can. Well, that's a good question. That is a good question. What does the title mean? It means absolutely nothing. Basically, the title, no, seriously, what the title kind of means is when you hear the lyric of My Gypsy Road can't take me home, it basically means you're on a journey and you're not going back home. You're not headed back home. The only way I'm going home is if a Sasquatch comes in front of me, in front of my yellow brick road. That's when I'm going home, after I see the Sasquatch. So that's what the title means. It was just a fun little title. So somebody actually sent me an email trying to figure out what the show's about because of the title. So that's what it's about. We got Donnie Miller on today. You guys all know Connor. And we're gonna talk some Bigfoot stuff today. Why not? This is fun stuff. You know?
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
Connor, I just gotta say, man, your interview yesterday on the other channel was really good because the guy let you talk. You were flowing. I mean, you were just flowing with your conversation. He let you basically have the floor, and I love it when somebody else called into the show and you're basically making connections right there on the show. Like when we meet up, go on your property, go research. You can't get better than that.
Yeah, it was really breath. Yeah, Donnie actually had a show at the same time, guys, which was incredible. And he was talking about old cryptid encounters, and he was reading articles, and he has an incredible community. And that's what's so awesome, because the Dark Waters community and Sean's community, Sean G from Chasing the Truth, they have created a bunch of open-minded people. Not created, but they've created a spider web of open-minded people. And then same thing with Donnie's community and family. It is just good people that want the best for you, but they also align with a lot of your beliefs and your data and your research. But yeah, Chasing the Truth with Sean G was an awesome platform. Sean is an incredible guy that has very similar beliefs and thoughts with me. So yes, it is just like talking to a friend or family, or like talking to you guys. I feel that same comfort with Sean that I feel speaking to you guys. So it went incredible, and I got a decent amount of subscriptions. So that shows that his fan base or his community is very loyal, and they're not just NPCs and bots. They actually have a heart and a soul, and when they hear you, they either pass it off if they're not interested, or they're magnetized to it. There's no negativity or anything, and that allows me to be free and really give the people what they want and what I want to tell them. Because if I'm getting cut off by the person, then I definitely really can't get into much of the truth. I can just have to keep it to just Bigfoot,
That's right.
Oh, it's true.
Yeah.
There is a flow of conversation where when you keep cutting off, it's just like your flow's ruined. It's just like stopping you, and it's like it's hard to get back into that groove. Once you're in that groove, you're in that groove.
Yeah,
I was impressed with that.
Yeah, it's natural for Connor. He just he flows with it, and there's no way. But knowing him personally now, and speaking to him, Connor is he's above average in his intelligence, super smart. But if you think you're gonna, stumble him up and throw some questions in, trying to throw him off, you cannot. With Connor, you cannot do it. He brings everything back together, and he forms this big, really detailed picture in the end. And I absolutely love it. He's one of my greatest friends I've ever met. And Connor's amazing.
Yeah, I deeply appreciate that, man. And you are very, very similar. We both are very descriptive, and kind of for not different reasons, but alternate reasons.
Yeah.
You can just describe everything of a situation, and like you've said before, you have to describe every detail just to help yourself remember these encounters just directly and specifically and literally perfectly, around a couple bushes, and everything. But it's incredible. And then me, I have huge spider webs. That's my whole connection, is like drawing bridges and making connections. So people that are actually read up on it or know me or know at least what I'm somewhat talking about, they can see the stars connecting. But of course, if you are unread to it or pretty much new to the topic, I might seem like I'm incoherently saying like 4 different things, but best believe that it somewhat has some kind of root, because it all comes back. That's
absolutely
what the whole goal is.
Yeah, absolutely. When I have a guest on a channel, you got to let them be them. Otherwise, why you'd have them on your channel, right? I mean, there's certain things we might have to censor technically what somebody might be saying. That's because of YouTube being taken down. Yeah. But you gotta let the person be free, because I don't want to learn the person. I don't want to learn a book reader. I mean, you're a book reader, but I don't want a scripted person. I want a free person. Last time Donnie was on, it gets me thinking, because I think Donnie, don't this might sound weird, but I look at the Annabelle doll. I know Donnie Miller, Annabelle doll, but Annabelle doll is a conduit where the thing's not really possessed. It's a conduit for spirits. It draws to it. Draw you in. And when I was listening to all your stories, Donnie, on your channel, this channel, you got a lot of shit that happens to you. A lot of stuff like happens to you, and I look at you like you must be like a conduit yourself, because somehow you don't look for it; it finds you. Because some people only get one experience in their life with something like this. You have received a lot of different experiences, so there's something about you that I don't know what it is exactly. Like, is this some kind of smell you give off? Do they read your thoughts? I heard mediums can see. Some mediums can see dead people, right? They can talk to the dead. You're like a medium somehow, where these animals are attractive to you. Is that far off? Is that crazy?
You're dead on the money. And it's been mentioned to me before by a lot of people that know me very well, and they've said the same thing. And there's something to it. And I had a few of my good friends had mentioned not too long ago. It's 3 or 4 of them this year, that they believe it's related to what happened to me as a child. And I don't know, because I was so young. I didn't really have a life before that to compare it to. So I don't know. But my entire life has been just plagued with oddities, just bizarre things happening wherever I'm at. And it's not something that I want to see. I would like to see, these creatures, but I want to see them from the comfort of my vehicle or car, and they're off at a distance. I don't want it to be in the woods by myself or with a friend, and we come up on one. I don't like. They scare me really bad, and I don't want to be that close to them.
Have you ever had a near-death experience by any chance?
I died 4 times. One time I drowned, but 3 times I actually died, and they had to resuscitate me. And I was young at the time when that happened, but I was with my mother and father, and we were coming from Atlanta, Georgia, going to Montgomery, Alabama. And we had an old, I don't remember the year, it's an old station wagon, these giant 50-foot long, huge metal cars, steel box. And there's the old Atlanta highway, I think it's 85 maybe, that goes from Atlanta to Montgomery. And we were coming across that highway headed home, and the road started lighting up, and then the car, it was very obvious we were under an extremely bright light, and the car shut off, and it came to a stop. But I don't remember if it slowed to a stop or if it was just immediately stopped. There was no damage to the vehicle. Nothing happened to us. It just, 1 minute we're moving, the next we're not. We're at a standstill. And this huge high plate craft was over the car, really, really close above the roof. And the following morning, okay, I'm sorry, that's Kim.
Oh, no
She's a
problem.
little loud. The following morning, I went outside because my father and mother were out there at the car, and I just went out to see what was going on. I was, I don't remember my age. I think I was about 3. I remember parts of it. And the paint on the roof and the hood was burnt down to the bare metal, and it had already rusted. It was just that previous night, but it cooked all the paint off the car. And what I didn't know, talking to my biological father, because I was with him at the time, that was back before I got adopted, and I asked him about it because I remember parts of it, but I remember what my mother had shared with me about that experience. And I asked him about it, and they've been separated since I was 4 years old, and they didn't communicate. They were opposite ends of the world, basically. And so there was no collaboration between him and her. And she died when I was 21 or 22. I was really young when she passed. And so there's that they could not get together to come up with something, a false narrative to feed me. And this was just a few years ago, 5 years ago. And I called him and I said, Pop, I want to ask you something. And I just want you to be honest with me. Tell me the truth. And I said, do you remember us being in the car and having a UFO come, above the top of the car? And he cut me off, and he said, yes, absolutely. And he started naming off the details in extreme detail, where we were headed home on that old Atlanta highway. And he said it not only happened then, but a couple of months later, it happened again on the same highway, the same general area. He said we were within a mile of where it happened the first time. And that highway is wooded. There's no street lights. It is even as of 2012, I went down that road coming back from Atlanta, and it is dark. There's still no street lights up. It's just woods and a black stripe running down the middle of them. But he clarified it, and that was my confirmation that a lot of it seems like a dream to me, and what he filled in all the blanks, and it makes a lot of sense. And my friends believe that something happened during that event. We went through an abduction, and I don't know if it happened both times or if it was just the one time, but a lot of people believe that's the reason these odd creatures are drawn to me. It has something to do. I was tagged or marked. Something happened, and maybe that's what's pulling me in. And I just, I can't argue because I don't know the truth. I don't know why they're drawn to me. If there was a way I could turn it off, I would absolutely turn it off. But it is what it is, and I get a little nervous when I get in the woods, but I still go. I love being out there. But you can feel, if you get out in the woods and one of them's around, you will know it. There's a feeling you get, and you can, if you concentrate on that feeling, you'll be able to pinpoint the general area where they're at. And I see it as, I was explaining to Connor, whenever we had met in Mariana recently, when I get the feeling that there's one of these creatures around me, in my mind, the way that how I know where they're at, in my mind, I'm envisioning starting where I'm at. If I'm at this point here, and I think that the creature or whatever's causing this feeling is way over here, I envision I've got this path coming from me, and it gets wider out as it goes out into the forest around me. And I know, at the general area where they're at, normally I can say, he's somewhere between that red oak tree right there and that cedar, somewhere up in that area. And that's normally how I get it. And It's only been a few times that I actually seen some type of being or creature that was in there. When I figured out where it was coming from and I stared, I'd see something go through the bushes, getting away from me, walking off. But I was never able to identify it exactly what it was. It could have been an animal. I didn't see it. All I seen was just something dark behind the foliage moving away. So it could have very well been a bear or a pig or something of that sort. But I don't know. I've been in the woods with the pigs, not a bear that I know of, but with pigs and deer, and they don't give me that feeling. But you never know. One of them may be, got something wrong with him and his mind set on attacking you. And I believe if that were the case, like with a wild pig or a bear, I believe that you would know, you would feel it. So I really don't know. I don't know if it was a Sasquatch or one of these werewolf things. I really don't know. I hope I don't see one to find out. I hope they're all something else.
Yeah,
it's a little creepy.
Yeah. It's not like you're asking for it. I mean, you don't want them to be a front. I mean, we've actually done a show before about near-death experiences, about people having them and now they become like sensitive. I'm sure Connor might have had near-death experience. I mean, for myself, as a baby, believe it or not, my mom, before she left, she crashed the vehicle and I actually flew out of the car as a baby. And somehow they're amazed that I lived. My grandpa kept telling the story, hey, you're the kid that lived from the crash. And it just, and you wonder, why. There was a time when I was like 4 years old. We're in the mountains, and it was during the snow season. So we come down, we park on the side, and my hearing, I always had hearing issues. I actually had to get operations so I can actually hear properly.
Oh, right.
I actually got sent to a special school because they thought I wasn't learning in school until one teacher found out that I was like 80% deaf. Teacher. But there was snow across the street. And I saw the snow, and I just got up to go. I didn't tell nobody. So I was going across the road, down a hill. Here comes the car. And this car just hit its brakes. It hit me. I literally flew in the air. I remember this. I flew in the air. I flew out of my shoes. I flew in the air, hit the ground, and I rolled. And I think I gave almost every grown-up a heart attack that was on the side of the road. And some of them thought I was actually dead. But I actually got up and ran to the snow like nothing happened. Somehow didn't need to go to the hospital. Well, I had no mother. My father probably like, oh, you're good. And really had no bruises. And you're like sitting there thinking later in life, like,
wow,
how do I fly out of a car? How do I get hit by a car? And never even needed to go to the hospital or nothing. I mean, I actually, one time at work, I was driving in a cable van. A Metro bus hit my van, totaled the side of my van,
wow.
And again, I walked out of it with no scratches. Jeez. And I'm thinking to myself, do I have 9 lives? Because it's just not like I'm going to hospital, I'm keep getting operations. I never needed to go to the hospital. I mean, they sent me to the hospital just on the safe side because I was on the job.
Yeah.
But no broken bones, no cuts. And it's like I have a guardian angel or something.
That reminds me of the and you've probably seen the same show. I believe it was last year, the end of last year or the early part of this year. But they were showing, one of them was, I think it was in Taiwan or the Philippines. But they have all them trains that come through, and they don't have any barriers up to prevent people from walking in front of them. And what they were showing on the CCTV cameras, this lady's walking out. There's one train that's parked. The other one is way back here, so you can't see it, and it's flying. This lady walks past the parked train. The next train gets up, and it looks like it nails her, and she just gets propelled off the side. She gets up unscathed. But then they show in the footage of the security cameras that were there, she wasn't touched by the train. It got right up on her, and then an invisible force just propelled her.
Wow.
It's crazy. And when you were saying how the car hit you, what if you weren't hit? What if, something did hit you, but it wasn't the car? And like you said, you've got an angel with you, protect. You got something there. Because how do you get hit by a car and you get up without, having to need some type of serious medical attention? There's no explanation for that.
No.
You got something major you got to do, or something's going on important with you.
I know. And then during my cable job, we climbed these 32-foot ladders on the poles up in the air. So I threw my 32-foot ladder on the pole. I climbed up. I had my belt. But right before I could put the belt on, the strand between the pole to the house snapped. Now, it's like a slingshot. It's like a slingshot. Now, the thing swung, and I remember in slow motion, the strand went like up, and then it went under and got stuck underneath the metal. Here's the hook, like the metal right here. They got stuck under it. Like my heart has never pounded so hard, because if it did not get that edge, I would have went 32 foot down to concrete.
Oh my Lord.
And it's like, I can't keep going through life like this. And the thing is, it's not like the movie Unbreakable where Bruce Willis, I have back pains. I have pains. I'm sore.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's not like I don't feel pain or nothing. Like I heard you in your video, like you're having back pains. Like I wish I was Unbreakable where I don't feel pain, but is it just luck? Or like you said, is it something that pushed you out of the way? Or what is it? Or is there a reason why we're here? Is there a reason why we do these shows? To speak the truth, to speak people's experiences. I feel like there is something.
There's a reason. Yeah, I believe it does have to do with truth. But someone who's been saved from death, like what you've went through, I believe that there's something, you play an important role in whatever events are coming, whatever's going to unfold. Something big's happening, and we're in the birthing pains of that. Something's coming down the pike really fast. The world's changing in a bad way, and what if you play a major role in what's coming? And you fulfill whatever duties that you're supposed to be here to do, whatever our creators design you for. Once it's fulfilled, do you bump into a kitchen cabinet and you drop dead after that? I mean,
I know.
You survived things that should have killed you.
And
I mean, absolutely.
Looking at other people's stories here, when drowning, it was like seeing my whole life flash really fast before my eyes. So, plenty of people have had these near death. How about you, Connor? Have you had anything crazy like that?
Yeah, I've definitely had my fair share. One time my grandpa fell asleep while driving. It was probably induced by wine, but I literally had no clue when I was younger. We went off the road into a ditch in his Blazer, and we rolled in the car. And I didn't really have any serious injuries, but it was very crazy. And then we walked home, and I walk inside the farmhouse, and I'm like, hey, we just got in a really bad wreck, to all the girls, my grandma, my mom, my sister. None of them believed me. And then Peepaw was driving the tractor up because he was going to go flip the truck back over. But then when we were going to watch him do it, it was me, my mom, and my sister just sitting there watching. And so many cars were pulling up to us, thought it was, us who flipped in the car, and thought my grandpa was just some, country man that was helping us. But that was really crazy. I was attacked by 3 dogs when I was younger too. Got really bad scars on my one arm, and like my fat behind my elbow was hanging out. Again, not life-threatening, but if they bit me somewhere else, it definitely could have been really bad. And then a couple times I've been caught in riptides and really far stranded out while in electric storms as well. Not with the riptides, but just on water with electric storms. But yeah, I've definitely, felt a lot of strange vibes. And I think that is one of my antennas. But me and Donnie were talking recently, and he brought to me this cool really study about how twins, their offspring, are very sensitive to the other side and just antennas to other frequencies and vibrations. And my mom's a twin, so it's very cool study. So we'll see.
Did you say the son, like son or daughter of a twins, or the twin itself?
The children.
Yep, the offspring of a twin. But hey, twins themselves are magical because they have telepathy. I've been seeing a bunch of studies with these triplets that they like write stuff down and then they'll guess exactly what it is. And it's not prior planned. It's very incredible stuff. And like I've said on other past shows, there's been studies where there was like a crossword puzzle with a select group. They did this well. And then there's another group that they hear it after the answers are already given to the real world. And then boom, they score significantly better. So somehow our brainwaves are able to tap into pretty much every brainwave of existence if you can get past all the boundaries and the poison and the distractions. It's all there. That's why we're all connected. Of course, we are solid bodies, but we're electricity way bigger than our bodies.
Look at that, Connor. Connor.
It links up.
Scott says, I recently heard this. My mom was a twin.
Yes, Scott.
There you go.
You and I are the offspring twin family. And I'm sure there's many of us out there.
Now, you guys know Dr. Wu, my brother, on the other channel. Now, when we were young, we're in the mountains, again, hunting. Now, what he did was, there were idiots for doing this, so people don't do this at home. He got on back of a motorcycle with his cousin and my cousin's uncle. My uncle was driving, not 2 people back on the motorcycle, 3 of them. Now, first of all, that's dumb. Let's just say that's dumb. Why they were allowed to do this, I don't know. Well, they took off, and then we were noticed they were gone for hours, going 3-4 hours. And then we saw Dr. Wu Bob walking back to camp without the motorcycle. Oh. They were driving the motorcycle, and this is true. They hit a rock, and they went off like some kind of a cliff, not like a huge cliff, where my uncle, they found my uncle on the ground, hit the rocks, where they needed to get him up in a helicopter because he broke his neck. Now, he lived, and he had one of those metal things like all on him. Yeah, and they found my cousin. He was messed up, but not bad. Bob, coming down from the cliff, somehow he grabbed onto something, and he was able to walk back to camp. And I'm like, wow. All 3 of you just went off a cliff. One did break his neck, but how did all 3 of you lived? Now, they were idiots for getting on motorcycles with 3. That's not but it's crazy. I mean, it's just life is weird.
It is. It absolutely is. And, there's something I wanted to just backtrack just a little bit, where, like what Connor was speaking about his mother, being a twin, and the offspring of twins, they're different. They pick up on a lot of things that a lot of people don't. I wasn't a child of a twin, but due to what happened to me when I was younger with the UFO incident, I think that's where my stuff originated. And Connor took me into a cave, and I do pick up on things in environments. It doesn't have to be in the outdoors, wherever I'm at. If stuff is off or something puts off an energy, I pick up on it really easy. And it wasn't probably 5 or 6 years ago that I found out that not everybody's tuned into it. Everybody can do it, but they're not all tuned into it. But twins and children of twins have an unbelievable ability to pick up on the slightest things, events that happened in history, that they leave a mark in the energy field somehow, and they can pick up on it. We went into that cave, and I could feel it almost feels like a pressure coming when we first entered the cave. On the left side of it, I could feel like a pressure, some type of vibe out of it, and I didn't say anything at all. And then Connor says, you can feel the energy coming out of this, and you was verbally expressing what I was experiencing, and it blew my mind because I've never personally been with someone else on an outing that they were picking up on stuff too, and it set me at ease. Because when we're out somewhere, if I pick up on something, it's not many people that I'll mention, hey, I got a bad feeling or I got a good feeling. I don't normally say anything because people think you're a Fruit Loop. And I think the only other person I've ever said it around is my brother Chris from Claghorn Outdoors. He's here on YouTube. And then, of course, brother Jeff Townsend. But Jeff, he confirmed, what I was feeling in one area, and we had a pretty wild experience there. But anyway, I just want to mention that. I didn't mean to backtrack on you.
Oh, 100%. I definitely feel a blanket of like protection as well in Alamo. I was just there recently, and I was down there in the cave for, 45 minutes and feeling great. We were reading a few chapters. Okay. See you soon. We were reading a few chapters of my book in there, doing a few meditations. We were looking for, cave art. But then, like literally 15 seconds after I got out of the cave and we started farther down that path, I got so sick. And I was eating peanut butter crackers. And then I think that kind of stuffed me up. And, it shouldn't. But somehow I was just so stuffed up and the heat was so overwhelming that I had to stop. And I barely could stand up. And I ended up throwing up. But that ended up feeling a lot better after I threw up and just got it all out of me. But I didn't feel any problems at all when I was down in that cave. And it's just like you can really tap in just to the peacefulness of it, too. I'm sure a lot of animals came in there. Yeah. And then, of course, the Native Americans.
Yeah, that's what was so strange about it. When we entered into it, you can, at the mouth of it, that there's been some significant history in that cave. But you don't feel it, or I didn't feel it until we actually stepped under the opening, the ledge above, overhead. As soon as we stepped under it, before we was even in the shadow of the cave, as soon as we stepped under it, I could feel it. But in my mind, I was seeing a lake, the surface of a lake, like these beautiful pictures you see of the mountains, and they got this just amazing body of water down there, and it looks like a mirror. There's not even a ripple on it. In my mind, I was seeing a surface of water that was just slick as a mirror, and that's what I was imagining. That feeling of that cave was somehow it was causing my mind to show me a picture of a beautiful lake. Not a ripple, not a wave, not anything, and it blew my mind. And then on that left side, as we come in, you can really feel something coming off of that. I apologize about the dogs. Kim went to pick up Rosie, and they're back. There they are.
Hey.
Yeah, they love Rosie. They're wanting to see her.
Oh, no worries at all. I definitely think your vision of the lake is just like predicting the future also, but also diving into the past, because I've seen it when it's flooded in there and it's beautiful crystal blue water. And I bet back in the day of the Native Americans, during some times that it was probably filled with water and they would use it for diving and swimming and drinking water, of course. But I know definitely there was times that they used it for protection, and they used it as a fort and a home. And I know I could live down there for forever.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. It's, in winter when we get this, because it gets cold down here, and a lot of people at North don't realize how cold our area of Florida gets. It gets bad. We don't get the sub-zero temperatures, but when it's 30 degrees here, it is horrible. I'd rather be up, in like Michigan when it's 10 degrees because it's not as cold. But I could see being down in that cave, on them real cold, brisk winter days that we have, and blocking off one entrance, with some bamboo or some foliage, just kind of build a makeshift wall where it would maintain the heat. And I imagine it would probably stay, somewhere around 65, 68 degrees in there, I would think.
That wouldn't be bad at all.
That would be nice. Yeah, I'd shack up in there real quick. Roll me
Yeah.
out a couple sleeping bags, and
Do you think they would have one fire down there, one main fire, or like would they utilize 3 fires? I just don't know how the setup would naturally be. I think just one primary fire would probably be best for a size that big.
I think one. If you look back into some of the older history, like with the Native Americans in other caves, they would usually have one fire near the mouth of the cave. And from what I'd read, and it was about the I don't remember which tribe it was, but North Alabama. It's rocky and hilly up there, and this particular tribe would build their homes in these caves, but they'd always have their fire near the mouth of it. And their belief was as the smoke would rise and it would kind of billow around the cave opening to the outside, that it would draw the stagnant air and the unclean spirits out of the cave with it. It formed a vacuum and it would clean the cave. But I've never built a fire in a cave, so I don't know if it would actually pull anything, change the air, if it would move the stagnant air out. I don't have a clue.
It makes sense though. It's just like smudging it in a big diagram. But yeah, that's very cool. I would, first thought I would have just put it in the middle, but putting it right towards the mouth of the cave is pretty interesting. If it can create a vacuum, and then it would keep it nice and cozy in there. That's pretty interesting. I would love to make a fire in a cave. That's something not a lot of people get to do nowadays. We'll have to talk to those landowners.
Now, before you make a fire in a cave, do you got to make sure there's nothing in there that can spark or anything that's fumes that might be trapped inside the cave?
This one has 2 openings. I'm not sure of what's heading they would be on, but when you walk in the entrance, you look straight ahead and you can see the back opening, and I would assume just the ambient breeze would keep anything flushed out of it.
Okay.
It's not a real big cave. It doesn't go, the parts that go down further into the ground are not large enough to get in. They're little shafts that go off to the side.
Now, do you guys see, when you guys go into these kind of caves, do you guys see like any evidence that, I would think a cave would be a good place for Bigfoots to hide out or to camp themselves in there, but do you guys ever see like evidence of any Bigfoots in these caves?
Yeah, Connor did recently.
Oh, yep. a skunk ape.
Yep, we're calling him the caveman. And then recently we actually just casted another one with Hidden Relief, Tristan and Cam in Alamo Cave, which the one we were talking about. But this one was just pretty wide, and it's pretty rocky as well. So the heel kind of broke off, but you actually get the wide 5 toes, which is really cool. But in a different muddy cave, I found one solid footprint, and it's really slender and narrow, and you can see the toes very well. It's either a homeless railroader or something like Gollum from the Lord of the Rings, like this caveman type creature. I don't really see it as being like a big, stocky, hairy Sasquatch, more like bioluminescent, white skin, kind of like a crawler from The Descent, of course. But yes, you guys will be able to see it right here. And what's really cool is Jack McClellan, he's a filmmaker. We were scouting for this short film. He actually filmed me talking about it for like 45 seconds. And there's so much radio interference. And that's the only video that did it in the whole day. And it's just mind-blowing. Wow. And, he didn't alter it or anything. And it's really cool because that has been reported many times. And then I went back the very next day after seeing it and then casting it with plaster. And that was very cool. And that was the same day I recorded the rattlesnake video that got 500,000 on TikTok.
And this is the one you're casting it?
Yup. And right there was the walking legend. He's watching right now. What up, Chris? Thanks for joining us, man. Hope your thumb heals up. He cut his thumb real bad and came up to my shop and then had to go to the hospital after it.
Oh, wow.
So that's the casting right there.
Yeah, there will be right there if you. It's very cool.
I've never been involved with people making a cast. When you make a cast, I mean, what do you use to make the material for the cast? What is it? Just simple? Is it
Plaster
what do
of
you guys
Paris.
use for it?
Plaster of Paris, and then I just had like a little mixing bowl and with water, cold water. So I had 2 bottles of water that were really for drinking, but we sacrificed that, so we had to get it back. But I have it right here, the Plaster of Paris. You can get it pretty much at Lowe's and everything, and then the mixing thing with the couple right there.
Oh yeah,
Plaster of Paris, and I had the walking legend with me, so I had a good sidekick that helped me carry things and mix it and rinse everything, and he's the true MVP. But it was an awesome experience because I've seen a handful of strange prints and markings, and I've gotten pictures and stuff, but to actually have something in physical that I'll be able to take to Squatch outs and show my friends, and once I get it back from my mom, I'll show it on dang near every show that we have together. But yeah, I'm super excited.
Do you have another video with the finished product?
No, I haven't yet. It's still at my mom's house, so I haven't made that yet, and I can't wait to discuss it all because there's toe markings, like not claw marks, but scrape marks for like a good 2 inches as well. And I casted that, so it's very cool.
Well, look at it. I mean, when I look at it, it's weird because you got like those. It looks like 4 skinny like fingers, like up there. It's just that's what makes it look so awesome.
Yeah.
So, I mean, is that more the way the fingers look? Is that more towards you think a skunk ape versus maybe a regular Sasquatch? Or do you think they have like deeper? Because there's some footprints. The toes are like big, real big. But in this one, it seems like they're slimmer. Is that because this might be a skunk ape versus a Sasquatch?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's a skunk ape over a Sasquatch, but I definitely think it's also like a cave creature, with that looks like the Descent and Gollum from Lord of the Rings. Like I don't really think it's that hairy of a creature. It very well could be a juvenile Sasquatch, but I think it's one of these caveman creatures.
A dogman.
It very well could be. A lot of people are saying it's bear prints, a gator print.
Yeah, but I never saw a bear print have the 4 skinny.
Yeah, they're very skinny, but once you see on the actual cast that the toes actually cut off at a point, and then that's just because it was like scraping upward. So it was moving in the direction that it's going, of course, and it was trying to move up like a bank. So it caught its feet a little higher than its foot slipped down to. So you get to see a little extra indentation, but it's not very large or anything. The creature would probably be a little smaller than me. So I think it's very interesting. It's not a very wide print like the one we found in Alamo. So it's definitely 2 different type of creatures. But yes, they're very skinny toes and they're long.
Was that like the only one that had a good shape of it? Was there any other where it looks like there was like stepping?
That was the only one. Period.
That's weird because you found one. Where's the others? Even if it's a bear walks on 4 legs.
Yeah,
it should be like 4. Bigfoot 2 legs, so I can see less. But a bear would have 4. So where's the other ones?
He was crippled. Weird. Yeah, he was crippled. He walked with a cane.
Yeah, a lot of people were saying, the one-legged Sasquatch. One natural, the most simple natural explanation for is maybe the whole cave, not the whole cave, but a lot of it was flooded. So that was the only one that was kind of left because that's the high ground. But I don't think so. I think they can, transfer their weight and make prints when they want most of the time. And I've heard so many stories of them creaking on your roof and not even making a sound. And they're, 300 pounds, 800 pounds, depending on the weight. And they can use like an exoskeleton. It's like a spider they can crawl. So I'm guessing they were probably surprised, which is really weird. I had a strange feeling when I was walking down there and I called out. I was like, hey, we're just friends. If anybody's down there. And Jack's like, is anybody down there? I'm like, no, just in case. And, it wasn't really a joke, but it had no harm. Like me doing it, it cost nothing. So why not, set out a free warning? But I think it really might have been down there at the same time, because while I was making that video, I got that electronic interference. And it is really crazy. I don't know if I sent the full electronic video to you, Donnie, but it's madness.
No, I haven't seen that one yet. I definitely looking forward to it. Definitely. I had what you were just discussing about how, like, if they get up and walk on people's roofs. I have a personal experience with something getting on the roof. And I don't think I'd shared that with you. Whenever we met up Marianne, I don't think I shared that one with you, but that was it was 8 miles from my house where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
And before Kim and I got married, I had a trailer up the road, 8 miles north of here. Kind of back in the woods. I got one neighbor. There's two neighbors. The one neighbor is my landlord. We lived on the same 5-acre parcel of land. And then the other neighbor, he was gone all the time, and he did, I think, air conditioning work. I think that's what his granddaddy owned a company. I think it was either air conditioning or plumbing. He's always had pipes on his truck.
And that again, guys, that's what Eric's doing right now. He's talking to the plumber. Everybody go in the chat, though, and tell him he should have muted his mic. That's a rookie mistake. I don't know what he's doing. Me and Donnie are trying to, entangle these clouds above our head of plasma. And yeah, but hey, business has to get done. Eric's a family man, guys. I'm just trying to rile him up.
Oh yeah, he's bringing us along for the ride. That's all.
Yeah. I do want to hear about that story in 1 minute once Eric's back, or once he needs the microphone.
I'll wait, because I think Eric will. I think he'll like it. It's pretty strange, the whole situation. It was scary, because I lived alone, and that's what really made it to where it got under my skin. And I'm gonna Eric, are you okay for me to share? I wanted to share something that happened.
No, they're just showing me the price of what's going to cost to fix everything.
Did you tell him to bill the long-haired guy on the street?
Bill him.
Yeah, before Kim and I got married, I had a mobile home 8 miles north of where I'm at right now. And when we got married, I moved in with her, because she was living in the house her grandmother built, and now it's our home. But anyhow, in my trailer, I lived alone, and I had woods behind me, woods to the north, woods to the south of me, and then the southeast. It was a 5-acre lot. On the same lot, it was my trailer, and then my landlord, who was in front of me, east and a little to the south. One night, I'm thinking it was somewhere around 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, my dogs started growling. They slept in the bed with me. And my house, the trailer was haunted, and we had quite a bit of activity. I had to have it cleansed twice, and it got really bad. And then after the second cleansing, I still had activity, but there was no more nasty smells. There was no more getting scratched. No more of that stuff happened. It was the end of it then. But I was laying in bed, and I woke up to hearing them growl. And I thought it was just whatever ghosts were in the house, because they would growl. One of them would walk down the hall, and my bedroom was at the end of the hall. And it would walk to my bedroom door, and the dogs would, laying in the bed, they would be staring at the bedroom door, just kind of rumbling that, not a growl like they're fixing to get in a fight, but that growl where, like, if you approach a dog that's injured and they just start rumbling at you, that low get back type growl, they would do that. And that's what I assumed, that it was a ghost coming down the hall again. And I got to listening, and then I heard what in my mind it sounded like somebody would have jumped up and grabbed the roof, the edge of the roof of the trailer, because you could hear the weight, the creaking and settling of the wall. And in my bedroom, as soon as you walk in the door, the sound was to the right. That was the wall that faced all the woods behind me. My bed was just to the left. My head was against as soon as you enter the door jamb, right there to the left is my headboard, and it kind of went out, across the room. Well, the dogs were looking at that wall, and then I could heard what sounded like somebody jumped up and grabbed the roof. You could hear really loud creaking, and then it sounded like the roof was about to cave in. Like there was a tremendous amount of pressure on the roof right there. And the dogs were just going nuts. They weren't barking, they were growling, but now they're snarling, both of them showing their teeth, and they were looking up at the ceiling on that corner where I was hearing it. And it walked across the ceiling to the front of the house. And then there was a loud, I thought that he fell. Whoever was up there fell and landed on the roof. He tripped or something. It was a loud thud, and the whole room shook. I got a rack on the back wall. When you walk in my bedroom door, if you look straight across, that's the end of the trailer. And I had a gun rack up there, and one side of it popped off the nail that holds it, the little eyelets on the gun rack. It popped off and dumped 3 of my rifles on the ground. It jarred the trailer so much. But then you could hear the thump 2 or 3 steps as it walked across the roof. And then I heard the thud. You could feel it where it jumped off the roof and it took off, and you could hear every footstep. Boom, boom, boom. And I could feel it. The trailer was shaking. So I got a gun, opened the back door, had my light. There's nothing to be seen. But the next morning, I was so scared. I stayed up. The next morning, when the sun was up, I went out front. I walked around the trailer. Nobody could have jumped up and grabbed the roof. Connor couldn't touch the roof jumping. It's high. It's the trailer was 32 inches. The bottom of the trailer is 32 inches off the ground. And then the height from there up, it's probably 10 and a half or 11 feet. It's really high. There was nothing. There was no ladder placed against the trailer. There's no trees, but there's no way to get on the roof. And I didn't own a ladder. And I don't know how, whatever got up there, I don't know how it got up there. Well, I went out in the front yard, and since I don't have a ladder to get on the roof, I kept backing up until I could see the front section of the roof. And right above my bedroom window on that side wall where it sounded like that he fell, there was a dent, probably 3 foot by 3 foot. It was a metal roof on it, and it was dented in. It looked like a huge rear end, like somebody just fell to their butt on the roof. But it was 3 foot wide, 3 foot by 3 foot, and it was right. It was near the edge, and so where the metal wrapped, come where the edge of the roof hangs out, it kind of wrapped around down the wall a little bit. It was creased. It dented it so deeply that it had a crease right there that couldn't be repaired. You'd have to replace the metal. And I told the landlord, what happened. There were no prints. There was one mark in the ground, what I think was where whatever it was landed, and it looked like a very large foot, but with no toes. It was very wide. It was only one, but it was embedded in the ground. It had the grass and the dirt, the soil smashed in, and it was probably 15 inches long, but the width is it was wide. It was really, really wide, probably, I'm guessing 8 inches, but there were no toes that I could tell from it, but it did not have a defined edge because it was in the grass. But that was the only mark. And that just, it was scary nonetheless, but I did not see it. There was no smell. There was nothing, but the dogs heard it. When he come up, they could hear it. And I had just outside the back door, I got a little 3 steps there. Just the old mobile home steps. there's no handrail. There's no way to reach the roof from there. Connor could probably reach it from there if he could jump, fairly high. But where it went up on the roof is about 6 feet further down the trailer. And there were marks on the roof what looked like fingers, like dirty fingers, because the roof is white on it. And it looked like they were on the edge and they kind of slid down. It did have finger marks. And I told the landlord, and her husband went out and they looked at it, and they weren't very concerned. But that's the only time it ever happened. That was the only thing that happened there besides the paranormal stuff. But it was odd. It scared me.
It was like the movie Signs, right? When they heard all these things on the roof, and they go out there, and it jumps, and they don't right into the cornfields. But how the hell can a person jump that high up? If it was a person, how can they sneak up that quickly? I mean, wow.
Yeah,
what if it was you? What if, I'm not saying the movie Signs, you had aliens on there, but now one person wrote here, I've heard Bigfoot walking on the roofs of trailers or juveniles running across. There was a trailer home for sale Northwest Georgia where that was going on, and the tech owners put it up for sale.
Wow. Yeah, that was the only activity, but that's what I assumed it was, because that wasn't long, just a few years after my encounter in Mariana, and it was after I found out what those creatures were. And so that was one of my thoughts of what it was possibly one of them. There's no other explanation as to who could have got up on the roof. And if it was a person, why did they run further out into the woods? There's nowhere to go out there. It's just wooded. There's no houses. There's nothing there. And I don't know. I never did find out. But that was the only thing that ever happened on the outside.
See, they sense you. They know. They know you. Somebody wrote earlier that maybe they feel safe around you, and that's why they're not afraid to get close to you.
Oh, no, that's not a mutual feeling, I promise you, because I don't feel safe around them. I'm quite scared around them, but I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know why they would feel safe around me. I'm an accident, just looking for a location to happen in.
Well, maybe because you watch some shows. I watch some Bigfoot documentaries of people going out there with weapons and stuff. You're not carrying like weapons with you, all that. So maybe they know that you're not automatically going to pull something out and say, "Hey, he moved."
Yeah, I'm always armed, but a lot of my encounters happen during hunting season, and I've got my muzzleloader rifle and my sidearm, but I've never had the thought or the desire to shoot at one. I never did. I've never aimed at one that I know of. I did see one briefly through my muzzleloader scope, and I was scanning the swamp. I could hear 4 feet coming, and it was either a deer or a pig, and I'm almost certain it was a deer. It sounds like someone dropping acorns into the water, just a little old faint, kaplook, kaplook. But a deer makes a very definitive sound in water. And it stayed in the water for 30, 45 minutes by me, but it never would get up to the point where I could see if it was a buck or a doe or what it was. And so I had my muzzleloader up, and I was just scanning through the palmettos into the water. It's really thick over there. And I seen something very large tearing through the palmettos, and it made a lot of noise. But I only seen it, briefly.
Now, Donnie, what about this? Somebody wrote, maybe it's the energy of your fear they feed off.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, it's very possible. But I would believe that if they only showed up when I got scared. But usually when I get out there, I'm in high spirits. I'm really at the top of my world, and when they come around, that's when I start getting scared, and I get a little overboard with fear. I do get very scared. Sometimes it's to the point that I end up throwing up. I get just sick to my stomach. I get a headache from it, and I don't know how to control it. I'm that afraid of them. I don't know how to put it in check. And, I hear stories, these people going out at night and they're chasing them and they're, they see them and they're running after them. And I'd shoot the man next to me if I went out in the woods and they tried that mess with me with them. No, that's asking for trouble. But I can't do it. I don't want to be in the woods at night unless I got a lot of people with me and everybody's armed, but not by myself. I will not make that decision to go out at dark. But
see, I think I smell. See, I think I smell. I think my scent is they run away. Because I mean, I've been to mountains my whole life. I mean, I hear noises and stuff, but I never really been close to trying to say I saw something or not. Maybe because they smell me and they're like, no, forget this guy. So maybe when you go camping, you should take me with you and nothing would happen. Yeah,
I don't camp no more because of that.
Okay.
I've not been camping since 2011, and I refuse to go. I don't want to go. I love camping, but I'd rather just stay safe and away from them. But
what if you have an RV trailer? No, you still don't feel comfortable? Okay.
Probably if I got other people with me, I would.
But you need Connor with you, so they go, hey, go talk to this guy. And then after Bigfoot's talked to Connor, they'll be like, oh, no, I'm out of here.
Yeah, Donnie's invited to my camp out in September that I'm going to with Manimal Research, Old Bear's Den, and Squatch and Cowboy, of course. And I'm super excited about that.
That sounds fun.
Last year, they actually left prematurely because of the activity was so strong. So I hope it's nothing aggressive. I'm big on, finding their belongings after and their markings afterward. I've had close encounters. And again, like Donnie, I don't need that face-to-face encounter anymore. I'm not running after them in the dark. I would love to hear them in the dark from afar, maybe encounter one from a distance, but yes, we have to draw lines because a lot of people are going missing, and there is a huge line of history with these creatures, going to war with the Native Americans. But again, not all these creatures are demons and bad. There are so many stories of them looking after people, protecting handicapped kids from bear attacks, a bunch of good positive stories that I've narrated and just heard myself. So yes, it's the balance of life, good and bad, of these creatures.
Oh, absolutely. I'm in agreement with you 100%. I had something, and it's up to you, Eric. I don't want to do it if you don't agree with it. But I had, every now and then people will send in their encounter to me, and I didn't get but half of the encounter through an email, and it was from a young boy, young man. He never sent me the remainder, and I asked him to, when he sends the rest of the story, I need to speak to his mother or father to get permission because of his age. He's 13 and a half is what he put. He's 13 years old, and just to protect me and to protect him and his family, I was going to wait until I got the rest of the story. So I don't have all of it, but it was so fascinating and I've been dying to get it. And it's been months and I haven't heard. So would you mind if I read it to you? What he said?
This is what the show's about. I want to hear people's stories. I want to hear everything, but it's kind of weird. How come didn't send the whole thing all at once? Was there a reason why he did like a part 1 and a part 2?
I don't know. I don't know if it was the email. My old email was the same as what it is now, the Standing Goats Rescue, but it was at outlook.com. And when I went from the Android to iPhone again, I haven't received but a small portion of the emails that were sent to me. Something is going on with Outlook, and so I switched back to Yahoo, but he had emailed it to me in Outlook. And the only way I can really check it is to go on the computer, like where I'm at now, and pull it up. And as of yesterday, he still hasn't sent. I don't think he's going to.
Well, let's hear what you got. I want to hear it. Look at this. Sketches is like, please tell another story, Donnie, because they love it when you tell a story, Donnie. You really make sure that it's like I can see it, and I can imagine it when you tell it. I feel like I'm there.
Yeah, you gotta. I don't know how people can tell a story of whatever they've experienced without. You gotta. People need to know where you're at. You know what's around you
Well, some
because.
people got the gift, and some people don't have that gift. And you got that gift of
Thank you.
really knowing how to tell a story. It's not everybody has that. You have it.
This guy right here, I'm not gonna use his name. He's got a very odd name I've never heard before. His first name I have, but his last name, if I say it, I very seriously doubt there's very many people in this world with this name. But
John Doe.
the
That's good enough.
the way it just ends is I've been waiting for, but it looks as though when he sent it, maybe he sent it from a phone and it only sent part of it. I don't know. I don't know why, but the email was just cut off. There was no end punctuation. There was nothing. It was just, that's all I got.
I got to hear it now. I mean, it's like the suspense is I'm ready for the half story.
But I had to straighten a lot of the punctuation up, and I went ahead and started working on it, expecting the other half, and that was back, I think, March or April, and I never got it. But I'll go ahead and read what it is, because he paints a really good picture for someone 13 years old. I mean, this young man is he's got some credibility upstairs. I mean, his brain is working definitely, and I would love to hear the rest of it. But I'm going to try to do this and leave out anything that would link it to him. I don't want to get in any trouble, and I don't want him to get in trouble. So I'm gonna, if you're ready, I'll go ahead and do it. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, there is a little bit of static in the background, but it's been like that kind of the whole time. But you're coming in perfectly clear.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, maybe the microphone. I had to make an adjustment on it last night, and
yeah, it's no worries at all. Everybody, guys, this is Donnie Miller from Standing Goats Rescue, and he, rescues goats and other farm animals that have been malnourished and just mistreated and just neglected over time. And he's done great things over there. So whenever we hear noises in the background like that, that's part of the trade. So, I definitely have no problem with
part
it.
Of the show.
You're doing great things.
Thank you, Connor. All right, he starts out giving his name. All right, let's see. All right. I'm 13 and a half years old now. I'm going to tell you what happened to me in the woods by my backyard. I was 12 years old the first time I saw a Bigfoot in my backyard. My dad made a big hole with his tractor in the woods. He goes to dig up dirt in the big hole when he has to fix the driveway when it rains a lot. I like to explore inside the big hole because I found lots of Indian arrowheads. I told Mom and I told Dad that I saw a Bigfoot, and Mom just said okay, and Dad was laughing and told me I saw Chewbacca. That's the Bigfoot from Star Wars movies. I was real mad because he laughed and he thought I was telling a joke, but I wasn't. I got my yellow bucket and my little shovel to find some arrowheads. When I was standing on the cliff by the big hole, everything in the woods stopped making any kind of noise. It was real weird to me. I was thinking that the blue jays told the other animals and the bugs that a human being was coming to catch them, and they all was probably hiding from me. I got a place on the cliff that I slide down in on my butt. I sat down and hopped on my butt and I slid down to the bottom. I started to dig some holes and look for the arrowheads. Then something hit me on my back in the middle and it hurt like a big bee stung me. I looked around and I didn't see no bee anywhere. I thought that my little brother must have thrown a rock and hit me. He was a little boy, and Mom won't let him go in the woods because he is only 6 years old. I looked everywhere around the big hole, and I didn't see him. I bent over to pick up my little shovel, and I saw a piece of deer horn or a bone. That's what hit me on my back. I picked it up and I was looking at it. Then it was a real loud sound, like when someone asks you a question and you don't hear it, so you say, huh, huh. Oh, I get it now. See, you don't hear it and you say, huh? But it was real loud. I got scared and I looked up fast, and it was a Bigfoot. I was not scared when I saw him the first time. He said, huh. So I just looked at him. He said, huh, again. So I told him, huh. Then he got mad and he opened up his mouth real big and made a real loud sound like a lion sound. I got real scared because my whole body was shaking when he roared like a lion. I could feel the air come out of his mouth, and it made my whole body shake real bad like an earthquake. I ran fast and jumped over the dirt pile and ran all the way to my house. I could hear all the trees breaking behind me because he was breaking them and trying to catch me. But I ran real fast and he couldn't catch me. I was scared and I thought he was going to break down the door and try to catch me inside my house. He did not break the door, and he did not go inside my house. He knows that my dad has a bunch of guns and he will shoot the Bigfoot if he breaks down the door. I was crying and I was real scared. And I got mad because Mom and Dad did not believe me that I saw Bigfoot and he tried to catch me. I got a lot madder because Dad was laughing and he said it was Chewbacca from the Star Wars movie. I told my best friend, I'm just going to use the name Tom. I forgot about that name in there. I told my best friend Tom that the Bigfoot tried to catch me and he knows that I was telling the truth. He told me that his dad shot the Bigfoot one time because he tried to go inside his big wood shed for the tractor. Now the Bigfoot don't go to his house no more. I want my dad to shoot the Bigfoot so he don't chase me no more. I'm lucky because I can run very fast and Bigfoot cannot catch me. I'm scared that he will catch my little brother one day because he cannot run fast because he is too little. I want to tell you that I did not get my little shovel in my bucket because I dropped it when the Bigfoot made the roar that time and when I saw Bigfoot. My dad drove the tractor to the hole to get some dirt to put the mailbox, and my bucket and little shovel is gone. I know the Bigfoot stole it. Mr. Donnie, can you tell my mom and my dad that Bigfoot is real and that I am not lying? They will believe you if you tell them. I don't go on adventures in my woods no more because Bigfoot is there, and I think he is probably waiting for me to come. Can you tell everybody on YouTube that I saw Bigfoot and he tried to catch me, but I was too fast, so I'm lucky. A lot of people are not fast like me, and they will probably get caught by Bigfoot. Tell them that Bigfoot is real, and I am telling the truth. Thank you, Mr. Donnie. I like to watch you on YouTube every time. I like to watch goats too, so I really like your goats.
That's awesome. That's a sweet kid, and poor kid that his parents don't believe him, but luckily his best friend does. And maybe it's the same creature. Maybe his best friend's dad shot that one, and now it's moved on to his property.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. And there's a little bit more, but it's a lot about. I can't share what that little bit of extra is, but there's more to the story. I don't have it. I don't know what it is, but he's got a lot about who he is and his location. So I definitely can't share that, but it just, you get them from people from all walks of life, some of these encounters. And I think I've got some of the older ones in here that were sent in. Let me check. We had some amazing. Yes, I do. I've got a few of them in here.
And those emails aren't easy for somebody's 13. He might have been he might have been writing it, and parents came in, was afraid that they're going to see that he's writing about Bigfoot, and probably stopped it. So hopefully he'll see you and remember to finish the rest. He might have just been scared. That's not easy because, especially a young kid talking about Bigfoot. Other kids are mean to each other. They really are. We live in a world where kids are more mean than grown-ups, getting picked on and all that. So he probably wrote it very fast and quietly so people don't make fun of him.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what, I didn't think about the kids being, ruthless to him, but it's a shame that the parents don't even give him a second thought. Who are you going to believe if you don't believe your own children? And it bothers me.
It's a smart kid, though, to reach out to you that is a credible source, and he wants you to, speak it to him. And I feel the same way, pleading my truths. I'm like, oh my gosh, who can I get to just share the message, and
absolutely.
And look, a lot of my beliefs align with your beliefs, and we found that data in different ways, and that's what's special. I hope that kid's parents end up hearing this one day, or get to speak to you, or hearing someone else's story. It goes back to the ancient walks of life.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna let me see. I've got several in here. I'm gonna try to find one of the more strange ones for you. There's some. I got one. If I still have it, I think this is it.
That is true, Don. A lot of people think cryptids are a joke, and that's why it's great about having a community like this where we can speak all this, and nobody's making fun of each other because we all have open minds, and we're all here to hear different stories. So, Don, I agree with you 100%.
Thank you. I've got one here. I think you guys are going to absolutely enjoy this one, and I have. I believe I've already shared this one. I'm not sure. I got a bunch of them that my brother had sent me that date way back. Those are the ones we've been doing on the show over at Sandy Goats Rescue. But this is one that was it was emailed to me, and I think I've already done this one. I may not have, but this one it blew my mind what was going on with these guys. It's a little bit long, but it's one of them stories that everybody needs to hear because it's all over the place.
Oh, let's hear it.
All right, good deal. Well, here we go. Thank you for letting me share these with you. And this was he named it, and I don't know if he'll see it on here or not, but I'm going to use the name that he give this story since he's the one that named it, and it's called Monty's Encounter. He says, "Hello, friend. I am Monty, the 69-year Native American. My family lives on the reservation, so I will not give the name of my ancestral tribe or reservation. It will bring bad happenings to us, which will cost me my career. I'm given my English name only, so I do not disgrace my ancestors and family. It is fine to call me Monty for this story. Our homestead is of 15 acres in a huge cabin my grandfather built in 1951. The land board, which is the reservation government. Hunting is not permitted on this reservation property. There are many designated hunting zones on this reservation, but the land around our family land is not one. Not much human activity on this section of land, so wildlife is abundant. The spirit beings and animals are abundant here also. Many years ago, maybe 1995 or 96, my family seen dark spirits in many areas of our land. The back porch on the cabin is the same flooring as the inside, red oak, tongue and groove. In September each year, my family prepares the flooring for the cold season. Clean the wood, polish the bare wood, apply 2 coats of sealant, polish again, and then final wax is applied. This preserves the wood and protects it from water intrusion from melting snow and mud that comes with the cold winter weather. The wood flooring treatment is performed by all adults in the family, taking 5 days to complete each year. Each family member has a particular part of the flooring preservation. My part is the polishing and wax sealing of the back porch and back section of the low level of the cabin. This cabin has 2 levels, or floors as you may know it. The cabin is quite large, so it takes the 6 adults a week to finish the floor. I waxed the steps side of the porch the day before, so I was starting on the sitting side where the table and chairs were positioned. After setting the chairs upside down on the tabletop, I walked into the cabin to collect the wax spreader and the pail of wax. When I returned to the porch, I noticed that the chairs were placed back under the table. I imagined that I did not set the chairs on the table, but just thought that I had. So I picked up the chairs again and flipped upside down on the tabletop, then turned to go pick up the wax pail and spreader. When I gripped the tools and turned back to the table, I seen the chairs were again under the table. I did sense a strange tingle in the air around me, but this time there was a horrific odor, burnt rubber, urine, decomposed flesh, and male body odor. I called out for Uncle to come. Fear had started to consume me before he got to the porch door. Uncle opened the wire screen door as I began explaining the events that happened. He said, place the chairs on the table again while he watched, then come inside the cabin and we would watch the chairs and try to witness the occurrence. Uncle said that the ancient ancestor spirits and the spirits of other peoples will not move items while the living were watching, but the dirty spirits or demon spirits will. Within an instant, 4 large black spirits pulled the chairs off the table and flipped them onto their legs and placed under the table in astonishing speed and without sound. The large spirits walked off the porch and moved towards the trees with much speed, like smoke moving with the wind. As they were entering the forest, they slipped into a physical shape, and we heard the cracking of limbs and dry leaves as they stepped away. Uncle was a wise man who was educated by many elders while he was a young boy. He told me that those beings were the elders of the people that most called the Sasquatch. The elders of these forest people were born as medicine men, and they walked both worlds, our physical and the spirit world. By these forest people placing the chairs back on their legs is a message that was for me. They were warning me to sit and remain seated for something that is coming to me. Uncle said that the forest people are not a bad omen, but when we honor the lands of the earth, they will prepare us for when we are about to move against something that is trying to remove us from our bond with the land and waters. We humans are the first line of defense for the forest people, and they will always prepare us for our own battles. I've never questioned anything told to me by my elders, and like Uncle, they are always right and wise. Another few days later, I accepted a job on the board as assistant director. I was shocked to have been offered this position because of my young age, and because I never filed applications for the job. I filed an application a year or 2 before, but I applied for the water board, which is a low-level position. Excuse me. Uncle said the spirits gave me the position, and he was always right. A few weeks passed, then the director was arrested for embezzlement and other crimes, so I inherited the position of director. This placed me in the top position of all jobs in the land works, the senior director. Now hear me out. This is important. Day 2 of the new job, I received articles from the waterworks that they filed to clear 60 acres of forest to build a wastewater facility. The area applied for was the forest land that bordered my family's land. This was the first time that any protected property would be destroyed to build a man-made facility. The application was approved by every department before it landed on my desk. Now it has to receive my signature of approval before it becomes a legal document. This is how these government types of jobs operate. I started to sign the documents when the lights in my office flickered. I looked up for a second or two, expecting power failure, and then I started to sign again. The lights flickered again, but then the same horrible odor filled the room like on our back porch, and I remembered. I looked up at the light and spoke this. If this document is going to harm our elders and the other spirits in that forest property, show me now. The light glowed with such power that it burned like the sun for several seconds, pulsating like a heartbeat. That was my orders from the ancestors and the forest peoples, so I denied the application immediately. How you say that this must be a fluke? The answer: every denied application is required to have a binding argument that supports the reason for rejection. This was the only document that ever came across the director's desk denied, and it never required the binding argument up to this day. Are the forest people able to move between spirit and earthly? My people and I believe that to be true. Freedom is the right of Creator that is weaved into our spirit, to believe or not to believe. This is our freedom. I am still director here on our reservation, so my identity and reservation must remain sealed. Maybe one day that will be changed. I ask that you honor my request. Thanks for this amazing Standing Goods rescue. I'm so relieved that you support all of humanity. Be blessed, my brethren. And he signs off, Monty. How's that one on for different? I think you're on mute. Yep, you're. Oh, both of y'all are muted.
I got a lot of noise in the background. You don't want to hear that.
Oh, that's no problem. But that was one of the craziest ones that I'd heard, and that one took me a while. I read it probably 4 times before I was able to actually put it into video. It just I don't know. I don't know how to. I don't even know how to question it. I don't know where to go with it. But it sounds believable, but in a sense, it sounds unbelievable. I don't know. But look at all the other weird things that are happening. The things people are witnessing, people vanishing. I mean, just there's a lot of crazy stuff happening, and I don't know. It just everything lines up for the guy, and that was the only application for them wanting to build on wooded areas, and that was the only one. I'm guessing since that reservation has been there that has ever been denied. But that was the only. I never heard nothing back from him. I don't know if anything else ever happened. But that and just it blew me away. And it's supposedly Sasquatch, but I don't know. Is it?
I mean, it's all faith in a lot of ways. I mean, we talked about everything is a personal experience. I mean, can people stretch the truth? I mean, of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just got to feel it. That's why, like, when I watch shows, I kind of try to understand the person who's hosting the show to see how do I feel. Do I feel he's giving us more truth, or one of the, there's some host people that likes to pizzazz up stories and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't want pizzazz stories. I want to hear it exactly the way it is. And I think emails and stuff that you get, sometimes that's where the real stories are at.
Yep, and that's the I believe it was Connor that was saying recently, the truth is so much stranger, than the fiction. I mean, it's bizarre. But I don't have it in this phone. It was an older encounter that was sent to me. But I'll give you a brief rundown of what happened, because it was funny what happened to him, and I'm glad none of the people got hurt. But this family, I think it was the uncle, and then all the cousins come together, and they all pitched in to get a hunting lease, and it had an old cabin on it. Well, the uncle, or the great uncle, he was an older guy, and all the rest of them were young. I don't remember their ages. I'm thinking in their 20s or 30s. Well, the uncle went and he forked out the money. He paid for the land, the acreage, and it was a pretty large piece of land, and it had a hunting cabin on it. And so he paid for it, and all of the cousins who were part of it, they divided the cost of what the great uncle paid for it, to where each of them had an equal amount to make payments back to the uncle to pay him for it. So once one of them got messed up, but here's what happened. They're at the cabin, and something's going in their trash, and then it was going into their coolers, taking food and stuff out of the coolers. Well, they didn't find what it was for a little while, and they were walking this property, scouting it, because they got it to hunt on it. Well, they get down to somewhere away from the cabin, and they come across what I think the guy described it as like an igloo shape, but it was made out of logs and limbs and just all kind of stuff, and it was weaved together. And they went inside of it, and it was this huge room. And he believes, I think they had seen the Sasquatch before they had found it, if I'm remembering correctly. And so they knew that was where the Sasquatch were living, was in that igloo structure. Well, going back to the house, these creatures were coming up, getting into the coolers they had out in their trucks, and outside of the door, and was taking the sandwich meat and the sweet cakes and getting into the trash, looking for food. Well, the one of the cousins gets really mad. I mean, he blows his top, and he's got a big 4x4 truck. It's got the big tires on it, and when he goes out there storming, he's so angry, he runs out, he gets in his truck, and he takes off into the woods back to where he drives up to where this igloo shelter is, this homemade shelter. And he got a running start, and he ran into it. He was going to plow it over, and it about killed him. He hit it, and it stopped the truck dead in its tracks. And the guy who wrote this in to me, he's got a very colorful language. He's definitely deep Southern. And he was explaining, he hit the thing and about killed him. And he backed the truck up. There's no damage to the shelter, and he's smashed the front of his truck. Well, he goes in the back of the truck, and he's got his weed eater and chainsaw and his gas cans. He grabs the gas can. He douses this shelter with the gas, and he sets it afire. And then he gets in his truck, and he drives back to the cabin. He burns their shelter down. Well, they came back and retaliated. I think it was the next morning these guys were leaving. They come up to hunt for the week or the weekend, and it was their last day when he went down there and destroyed their home. So the next morning, they got all their gear packed up inside their vehicles out there. Everything's packed away. They got all their bows, their guns, their sleeping bag, all their stuff is put up. And they're inside eating a lunch before they get on the road to make the long drive home. And while they're in there, these Sasquatch come back, and they're mad. And the cabin is on these little concrete pillars. It's a real old cabin. and they knocked that cabin off the pillars. The Sasquatch did,
Wow.
and it ended up that they destroyed it. They beat it down, and the cabin is just collapsed on top of the guys. And then they left, and it's funny to hear him. The guy that told the story, the way he words it is what it made it one of my favorite stories, because he has his language. He's just saying it the way it is to him, and he hates them. And it didn't reading it, you realize this guy, he doesn't have a clue. He's not thinking about, the Sasquatch had a home and you went and destroyed it. And you don't think they're going to come back and retaliate. So they destroyed yours. And that's what it boiled down to. But they didn't kill anybody. They didn't hurt anybody. But they came up and they destroyed the home right back. And it shows the intelligence of them. It's an eye for an eye. He went, tore their home up, and they came up and tore his up. And
it was probably a targeted attack too. Like they probably went and raided all the vulnerable spots and just collapsed that trailer right on it. Well, a trailer or a cabin right on those guys, and then got out, because clearly they could have definitely done some damage. But if all those guys were able to even drive out of there, then it was just to equal things back up. But I definitely wouldn't be driving my car into these creatures or gassing them up. They're lucky they weren't in the house at that time. But of course, they could feel the rumbling from the 4x4 by at least a mile away, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. But what makes that whole story so interesting and funny in the same sense, the uncle paid for all of that. He bought it outright. And then all the cousins, the family, were paying him back. They all had to make monthly payments. Well, this guy, this one cousin, he ruined the whole place. Now the Sasquatch are very angry. They don't want the people there now. You can imagine what would happen. But anyhow, he's having to pay for the entire cabin. For his other cousins that were making payments, now he's having to pay all of it off. And they got him good, but it's funny the way he describes it. I can't remember exactly how he said it, but it was basically karma. Karma getting in. Not only did they destroy his house too, or his cabin, they also cost him financially a pretty good.
Yeah, he's still probably paying it back. That's a shame, but that is real life, and not many things insurance-wise are going to cover you for Bigfoot insurance. But there are a lot of claims every year for hitting Bigfoot and hitting strange cryptids. Of course, the dogmen, and then over in Texas, the chupacabras. They're like deer out there. You see them everywhere on the side of the road.
Yeah, this is I got a few more.
Yeah.
Oh, Eric ain't in there.
Yeah, he's with the plumber right now.
That's fine. That's fine.
Here he comes back. I see him.
Yeah, let me make sure I can get his permission before I do it.
No problem. Sorry about that, guys.
No, you're fine.
We're on the final part. They were able to clear the big thing. They had to go to like 5 different spots to be able to find the one that can actually clear everything. So
but they got it.
We got it. I'm just doing the payment.
Good deal.
I just want to say real quick, I got a phone call when Donnie was finishing up that last call, and it was my mom asking me to go out to lunch because she thought I was at work still. But she also mentioned that one of my cats, Littles, the smallest one, has been missing since the dang storm. So I just want her to be found. Everybody just try to send some positive energy. Little one, the small kitten. It's my baby, the one that was killed last April. It looks like a mirror image of her. And we found the little kitten under my trailer here. And after like 3 or 4 days, we finally got a hold of her, took her over to my mom's, or him over to my mom's. And it's been about 8 months. So it's definitely grown up. So it can definitely fend for itself. But that was a wicked storm. Luckily, not many trees fell. Hopefully, it was just ran off into the woods pretty deep, and it's just taking its time coming back. But guys, little one, please, and I'll keep you guys updated. But it's been a roller coaster of emotions with the cats over at my mom's house, because we had baby and Simba, and then baby sadly passed away, and then Simba went missing for a few days, and her neighbors are real bad troublemakers. And I actually went over there and told them, like, not confronted them, but I told them, like, hey, our cats are missing. And then within a few hours, our cat came running out. So I don't know if they took it because they thought it was a feral cat or something. But I just I don't have time for bad people out there. And some people do bad things with good intentions. Come on, guys. Let's all just put positive energy out there. I bet little one is just following some kind of path, looking for arrowheads, but hope she comes back, really for my mom's sake, just because I know the cat can fend for itself, but that was my mom's little buddy. I hope she comes back soon.
Yeah, absolutely. These animals are like children to us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
If anybody watches my TikTok, walking in the morning, walking my dog, they're a handful. They're like children.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely got a handful of, Eric, I was wondering, the last story I read you, the guy Monty, this one that I got is a good story.
Let's hear it.
But it's on the side, it's the strangeness, that woo factor.
I want to hear it.
I don't know where I fit as far as that, real intense woo stuff. I'm not sure where I fit in, as far as my belief in it. I have witnessed some strange stuff, but it gets really deep on that subject. And
I love it. I love it.
But this, there's a little bit of foul language in this, but it's not bad. It's not, super bad. So if there's any children in it, I think it's just in the beginning.
Ain't no problem.
But it's not horrible. All right, this guy, his name is Stanley, and I'm just going to dive into it. Y'all ready? You good, Connor?
Definitely.
Good deal. Okay, here we go. He says, "Hey, Donnie, I'm 44 and stepping into retirement soon, so I don't give a rat's ass if you use my name or not. Here's what I experienced a couple of years ago. First thing you should know, I've never had much faith in the existence of the skunk ape, Sasquatch, Bigfoot, or whatever it is, but I am a believer now. I leased 65 acres in northwest Georgia to use for hunting, relic hunting, and arrowhead hunting 6 years ago. A couple of years ago, the wife and I were scanning the creek banks with metal detectors looking for Civil War artifacts. She was 60 or so yards in front of me as I was bent over digging a target I just pinged. My ears popped like when you're on a plane ascending to the clouds. I opened my mouth to release the pressure in my ears when a super high-pitched whistle started. It made my eardrums sting. It was so loud. I looked at my wife, and she had her head down while sweeping her whites detector over the ground back and forth, as though she didn't hear it. I assumed it was because of the ear pressure I was experiencing, so I continued tilling up the clay with my hand spade. I found what pinged within a few seconds, an old spent bullet. I rolled it between my fingers to break up the embedded clay on it to see what marks were on it. Now, from the time my detector pinged to the time I stood up with the bullet in my hand was brief, as in 35 or 40 seconds. I looked up to call Darla to show her my find, but she was gone. I scanned the area where she was last standing only seconds ago, but she was not there. I started hearing a faint screaming in the distance and realized that it was Darla's voice, coming from the direction of the truck. I fell into confusion over this because the truck is at the gates to the property, and that's almost a half a mile from where I was at. How in the heck did she get to the truck in less than 2 minutes? Then my brain reignited, and I noticed that the sun was below the treetops and it was getting dark fast. We started searching for relics at 10:40 a.m. approximately. I found the bullet within the first 5 minutes of searching. How did that happen? I grabbed my hand spade and started toward Darla in a very panicked hysteria. Almost instantly, I heard a series of heavy footfalls coming up from behind, fast. Before I could react, I was hit from behind and tackled. I rolled to my backside as fast as I could move to face my attacker. There in front of me, 7 or 8 feet away, was a yellow hair covered man. He was squatted down with his feet and hands planted in the earth. Too scared to move, I tried to scream but couldn't find my voice. I couldn't get anything to come out of my mouth but a squeaky whine. This was the mythical creature I've never believed in, Bigfoot. He stared at me intensely, but not in anger. It was more of a "what the hell are you?" sort of expression. A short time passed, maybe just seconds, when a voice said, "Bad, bad, no," very loudly. But it seemed that it was only in my head, not my ears. The Bigfoot stood up and turned in one astonishingly fast motion, then literally sprinted off into the bush, covering 50 plus yards within a couple of seconds. I scrambled to my feet and I ran nonstop to the truck. When I got within sight of the gate, I could see many sets of headlights. There were 3 wardens and a sheriff's truck. They were gathering their gear to start a search for me. Something happened to me when my ears popped and the high-pitched whistle started. I literally vanished, according to my wife. I found the bullet in the ground, dug it up, and cleaned it with my fingers, then looked up expecting to see my wife, who was just there 10 seconds earlier. This whole process took all of 2 minutes at best, but in reality, I was missing for over 6 hours. Darla said that she looked back to see me on my knees digging. She took 5 or 6 steps and looked back, and I was gone. For perspective, we both were within 15 feet of the creek's edge. The tree line was roughly 70 or 80 yards to our left side. Even if I were to run as fast as I could possibly run, it's impossible to get to the trees fast enough that she wouldn't have seen me. Darla thought that I may have fell into the creek and was swept away in the strong currents. So she searched and called out to me several times. She then walked back to the truck to see if I went back to get something. After walking the same path we took to the creek without finding me, she dialed emergency services. The wardens arrived and they waited until sundown before they were going to look for me. Their experiences with missing people usually ends with the person walking out of the woods just before dark. I have no problem with the way they operate, even if it means that the missing person could experience a lot of serious injuries or death while the wardens wait for sundown before they start a search. The part that screws with me is that nobody can explain what happened to my phone. Darla called me dozens of times that day when I disappeared, but I had 0 missed calls. And the big part that bothers me is that my phone's clock was over 6 hours off. The following day, my phone was completely finished. It wouldn't even show that it was charging when I plugged it up. Well, I told the officials and Darla everything as I remembered it, and I was informed that I experienced amnesia and I walked off into the bush. The amnesia will also cause very lucid dreaming. So I dreamed that I was tackled by a Bigfoot, they said. I've never been so pissed off in my life. I could have smacked those officers for saying that crap. Darla knows that I had this happen to me. She's seen the massive bruises on my back the next morning, including the huge handprint bruise. We let the lease go last year. I'll never go back into the bush again. We still spend many days a week treasure hunting, but we do it in open fields of crops and anywhere that has outdoor venues such as concerts. Out of the encounter I went through, I have many questions I'd love to have answered, but the main one is this: Where the hell did I go? I have nothing else to add to this. That's the only crazy experience I have ever been through to date. I'll leave you alone now. Thank you for giving us this setting for sharing our encounters. There's many great channels to share our encounters with, like Steve Isdall's channel, but this one feels like real family to me. Standing Goats Rescue is just a better setting for me personally. Donnie, you're genuine and pleasure to know, and we thank you for all you do. Best regards, Stanley and Darla Rocks.
Wow. That story is incredible. I think David Paulides would be really interested in that story because there's actually some insight to the time slips and missing time, and it's been documented by the police. Wow, that's a spectacular story. And the color of the Bigfoot, a light blonde. You know, we've heard that story or that color. You know, that description many times. The tan ones. Wow, that's interesting.
And a great compliment to you in that letter, saying they feel comfortable with your channel, so they feel comfortable telling you the story. I'm really
grateful, real grateful for people like that. And I'm not sure who he is. I believe he's part of our channel, but he obviously don't go by his name, or I would have recognized him. But
I know, right? We got two names. We got the social media name, and we got our real names.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He's he either doesn't comment in the chats. He kind of sits back and listens. I don't know. From what I'm understanding, I think he's he'd have to be up in his 60s, I would assume. I'd love to talk to him, but I find it like with that, not only was he missing for 6 hours, but his phone was 6 hours off. I mean, that's confirmation that something happened. He went somewhere. He said the next day his phone died completely, and I don't know. I wouldn't go back in the woods. I'd never go back in the woods if something like that happened. That is insane.
Scary, like stuff like that, I honestly think can happen anywhere. If that's possible, then it's happening more than we know it. And maybe some of these people that are never found, maybe they fall into a deeper time slip, or they wake up somewhere else with amnesia. They don't even remember who they are, so they just continue a different life and somehow can live like that. And there's been other stories that, you know, missing people are found halfway across the world, and then they have a different identity, and they don't even remember their family. It's crazy, man. That's wild. And then add in that Sasquatch could put you into that window of time slip. Wow.
Yeah, that's wild. And he said he heard it saying bad. It told him bad. He could hear it in his mind. And I had someone when I shared that on Standing Goats Rescue, I had someone come on and said that the voice wasn't directed at him. It was like the father figure, the top Sasquatch reprimanding the one that tackled him. You know, no, that's bad. Don't do that. But it's so strange that he heard a ringing and he went to walk away and he got tackled, and he gets up and there's 6 hours gone. You know, when did it happen? You know, that's what I've read, that one little section over and over, and there's no, I don't know, how could he vanish? He's looking at a bullet he found, and he looks up, his wife's up there, and then he beats the dirt out of the bullet, looks up, and she's gone. And then he realizes it's getting dark, and he takes off and he gets tackled. And I don't know. It's strange. He didn't go anywhere, but his wife walked back over there where he was at, was looking for him. And this was, he said, like 10:40 in the morning. And then she walked right there where he's at. And from what he explains, it's open in there. He said the woods are like 70 yards away. The creek is right there. There's nowhere to go. And she looked back and he's gone. And that, I don't know.
It's weird.
Yeah.
It's weird. I did a show one time I was telling people the story that I was in Target of all places. I was in Target. I was in a one of the shopping
aisles.
something. Yeah, aisles.
Yeah.
I was talking to the wife, and then the wife walked from the aisle. Then I went to follow her, and she was gone. And I could like, where the fuck did she go? I just talked to her, and then I'm like going down all the aisles to the other side of the store, and that's where she was. But I could swear to you, I just talked to her. I told the story. I'm like instantly, as soon as she walked to the side, I went to hey, she was gone. And I was like, I know I wasn't crazy. I wasn't smoking nothing. I was, I had no beers.
Do you believe in that? What do they call them? The doppelganger.
I would say I would have to, because I was trying to explain to myself, like, could I just thought I talked to her, but no, I know she was right there. But
yeah, it makes you almost want to believe, where you hear of all these people talking about there's different dimensions where we're in all of them, but like the next dimension, we're not sitting right here in this setting. We three may be in the mountains. So, you're different. You're in a different environment in each setting. Do you believe something like that could happen? And maybe you've seen a slip of another dimension?
I think there's a possibility of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many things we don't understand. We can't explain. Your stories like that. We have shows on here talking about the missing 411. You hear how certain people that have certain disabilities are the ones that are missing. I mean, is it just luck? I'm sorry about that, everybody.
No, you're fine. I thought it was my phone.
No. As soon as I pay something, the plumbing company, you get these automatic texts.
Oh yeah.
Thank you for your payment. Well, I don't want to say thank you for receiving my payment, but
send them a thumbs down back to them.
That's why we do so many shows on so many different topics, because it's like every story pops up in another story. Here we are talking about Bigfoot, but then we're talking about how the link, like my thumbnail, I made a picture of a dimensional of a Bigfoot walking out of it to the Yellow Brick Road, because you hear stories like that all the time. It's not as crazy as people think it is.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also heard stories about some people saying Bigfoot is more white than the brown color, than black color. I heard that too.
Yeah, I've never seen a white one. Almost all of them were black, and a couple of them were like an orange, a reddish orange, a really strange, not a deer color like that buckskin, but an actual orange.
The series Man in the High Castle. Oh yeah, that's true, Carla. It is almost like the series Man in the High Castle. A different reality hits.
Is that a movie?
Man in the High Castle is a show that's on Amazon Prime. It's basically it's a switch of reality show where basically what happened if Hitler did win. So it was a world. It's a movie about a world that Hitler never died. They won the war.
Oh wow, that's scary.
Scary. I know, right? But
yeah, these right here, Eric, these are true articles, newspaper articles that date way back. I don't know how you're set for time. If you want me to share one of these or a couple of them, it's up to you.
No, you can share. I don't have to leave for another hour, so you can share.
Okay, you okay with that, Connor?
Oh yeah, I'm good, 100%.
Thank you. And these are our brother Don Moore. He's here with us tonight. I sent him the link for the show so he could jump over, but he had sent these to me.
Heck yeah. Thank you, Don. I've seen a couple of your comments when I've popped into the chat a few times. Thank you for popping over. Everybody that came over from Standing Ghost Rescue, we are thankful over here. Me and Eric have been working pretty hard every Tuesday and Thursday on this horror talk. We've interviewed Stacy Brown recently, Long Island Bigfoot, Tyler from the Citizen Scientist podcast.
Oh, wow.
Donnie, you would love to talk to him. He found a twist off out there in Seattle or Portland, and then he ended up being touched by a Sasquatch that night. And he's a very scientific approach to it all, so it's a nice balance because I'm all about the vibes and wildness, and he comes to it with a more normal approach, but we meet halfway in this strange phenomenon. But it's just. And Donnie's alumni here and a friend and family here. But it's great to keep the dominoes rolling with all this strange cryptid talk. And I can't wait to look back months from now and be so proud of these interviews. I am proud of these interviews. Every time they go down, it's special energy.
And I feel I feel like everything is faith. I really do, because I didn't know I was going to have the plumbers here with you coming on, but you coming on, dude, you actually helped me out because I didn't want to have to leave Connor by himself, and I'm going back and forth. So in a weird, strange way, it's faith that you're on here.
Yep, absolutely. I believe that. I'm big on stuff like that. We got, we're going to be, I think tomorrow, I'm not sure yet. I got to talk to Mark from Livewire. I'm going to get him to come on and join me for a little while, but I'm going to be sharing some more of these articles. They're from every state in the nation, and we're going through, kind of just hopping around. We was going to do them in order and then do the list, the thumbnail for the show, but then I thought about it, and we have a lot of people that only want to hear the encounters that happened in their state. And you're not getting the information out, spreading the awareness if, you're going to be selective and only hear a portion of that field, the cryptids. You need to hear everything you can find on it. And every one of these are newspaper articles, and they date way back. This one here, I'm fixing to go over with everyone, is from British Columbia.
Carla. British Columbia? Oh, British Columbia. That's Tom Murr. Okay. Wrong person.
Yeah.
Carla's UK.
UK. Oh, wow. That's where I want to go. Haven't been there yet. One day.
We got people in the UK in the chat. We got people in Australia in the chat. And on the Tuesday show, we had a person from New Zealand. So we actually got people from around the world in this chat right here.
Absolutely. Praise God for the good people. It takes the good people to build up a base wherever they're at. And that's a good thing.
Yep.
Let's see. Now this one is long, but this one was from 1918, and so the way it's punctuated, it was copied from the article, and so the punctuation, there's like 3 or 4 commas per sentence. It's that type thing, so it's a little. You got to kind of read through it to make it sound right. But I'll go ahead and start there.
Yeah.
This one's named Native Tales from a Small British Columbia Village, circa 1918. The eyewitnesses is native William Hall and a tribal elder. The timeline of events was 1918, and the location is 8 miles west of Kemano, British Columbia, in a small area known as Miskook, which is a small inlet on the Kemano River. The information source was from native Ken. He's the grandson of William Hall, who retold the story to an investigator. All right, here we go. In the spring of 1918, William Hall was out hunting for the family's needs with his good friend. In this case, he was bear hunting 8 miles west of Kemano in a small area known as Miskook, a small inlet on the Kemano River. His friend and himself were joined by an elder whose job it was to wait in the canoe and watch the supplies. As William and his friend made their way through the terrain, they came upon a split in the valley. It was here where they separated their ways. As the custom went, a wooden stake was pounded into the ground. Upon return, the first hunter would remove it and lay it on the path to let the other know that he had safely arrived and to meet him down at the river's edge. William, being the first one back, did so and started his way back to the waiting elder. It was here on a small trail, he came upon a group of 4 Sasquatch, or as known to the Kitimat Indians, the Boquas. In absolute terror, he started to run, but apparently blacked out. When he came to, he found himself on a large rock. The 4 Boquas were below, reaching out and attempting to grab the startled hunter. In his own native tongue, he spoke to them and said that he was not there to harm them, but only hunting for food for his family. It was at this time that the aggressors seemed to back off, as if they understood. He made his way off the rock and began back to the river's edge where his partner had been waiting in the canoe. Along the way, the creatures continued to follow him to the river, and now the waiting elder also said in his language that they were not out to harm them. Again, seeming to understand, they left. Upon getting into the canoe, William Hall slipped into a coma that lasted 4 days. Excuse me. It was on the 5th day that he awoke. It is well reported that accompanying the Bigfoot is a foul odor that fills the air whenever the creature is near. Pardon me. William had the same rancid odor permeating his body until the day of his death 8 years later. So bad was it that he built a hut for himself to sleep in so as not to offend his family. Since the day he came out of the coma, Ken said, "My grandfather could foresee the future." He displayed other traits of a psychic nature as well. One night around the fire, William gathered the elders and chief to experience his newly acquired supernatural powers. He picked a salmonberry branch that was bare of any leaf or fruit, as it was now the fall, and he walked past the chief, who was seated. He displayed the branch and proceeded to walk around the circle of hot coals and fire. After the first time around, he again stopped in front of the chief, this time displaying a freshly grown leaf. A second time around, he displayed a large bud, and that upon the third encompass of the fire yielded a full rose. On the final 2 times around the elders, he displayed an immature salmonberry, and finally a large ripe berry that he placed in the chief's mouth. Perhaps the most stunning display of William's powers came when he warned his people that would destroy their land. 20 years or so later, the Alcan project began. The snake-like creature was believed to have been the winding black highway put in, and the bugs were the many trucks that ride the road. His grandson also said William Hall picked the day of his own death. The investigators' conclusion: one wonders how many other villagers and small towns have their share of amazing stories. I have been told also that the Sasquatch or Boquas legend continues on this part of British Columbia, in the Ursula Channel, just a few miles away. The spring air is punctuated by the sound of yelping Sasquatch. What do you think of that one?
That's incredible. That might give some meaning to how those people do walk across the hot coals. You know, I know it takes lots of training and putting your body through that, but that just shows that, of course, there's other factors at play. But that's incredible, and it's feel bad for the guy that stink stayed with him for 8 years after, all the way till death, and that makes it even think, beyond the explanations I give, and I know smells are much deeper than that, but they always say, the savages, they eat the skunk lines, and then the family Sasquatch, they are real articulate about what they eat. But that one, if it's stuck with a human for that long, I think it's maybe a marking or a spray, kind of like how a cat marks its territory. It's all one.
Yeah, that makes sense. I never thought about that.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, they had it's amazing. He picked a limb in the late fall when all the leaves have already fell from the trees. And the more he walked around the fire, the more that limb started growing. It produced leaves on it, then a little bud, then a full bloom on it, and then the fruit. And then it ripened on the last path. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's bizarre. I definitely never heard nothing like that. But wow, can you imagine what you could do if you had that type of power? I'd put Walmart out of business with their watermelons. I'd give me some seeds and just kind of do a little shimmy, give me some 50 pounders.
Yes, that would be awesome. That's special energy. I would love to work that into a short film scene, walking around a fire and then a limb, kind of tripling in size and developing. That'd be pretty special.
Yeah. Hello?
Yep, absolutely. We got I got this other one, Connor. Let me see.
Yes.
I think this is the the Mooshlot Harry article. Did you hear that one when
it rings a bell. I've definitely heard that term, Mooshlot Harry. So I think I was there when you read that one.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that. What is it? Oh, that's my phone vibrating. I thought I was sitting on a bug. I turned my ringer off, and I don't want to be on the bugs. I got another one here, Eric. If you want me to share it with you, and then we'll save the others for next time.
Yeah, do one more. Let's do one more.
All right. This one here is the abduction of Mooshlot Harry is the title, and again, this is a news article, and this one. This happened in 1928. The eyewitness is Mooshlot Harry of the Nootka tribe. The location was Vancouver Island, British Columbia. The Kanuma River at the head of Tlupana Inlet. And the information source is Mooshlot Harry's testimony to Father Anthony Tahar, a missionary priest who relayed the story to former Bigfoot investigator Peter Byrne. According to the Indians, there was once a large number of Bigfoot living on Vancouver Island, a large island, 12,408 square miles in the area off the west coast of British Columbia. The Indians knew about them, feared them, and respected them, but granted that they were harmless. One of the Indians of the Nootka tribe who lived at Nootka in 1928 claims to have been carried off by them and held captive for some time. The story, told to me by Father Anthony Tahar of Mount Angel Abbey in Oregon, is a curious one. Father Anthony, a much-loved missionary priest who traveled the west coast of Vancouver Island for many years, was living at Nootka at the time of the story, and he knew Mooshlot Harry very well. Mooshlot Harry was a trapper and something of a rarity among his fellow tribesmen. He was, according to Father Anthony, a tough, fearless man of excellent physique. In the course of his trapping, he was known to spend long weeks in the forest alone, something that the average Indian did not do in those days. The Indians of the West Coast were apparently a rather timid people, and they seemed to regard the deep forest as the home and territory of the Bigfoot. When they went into the deep inland forest for any reason, they never went alone. Mooshlot Harry was different from other Indians. He went in the forest alone, and he feared nothing. Late one autumn, Mooshlot Harry set off for the woods with his traps and camping gear. His plan was to set out a trap line and stay in the woods for several months. He headed for his favorite hunting area, the Kanuma River at the head of Tlupana Inlet. From Nootka, he paddled his own canoe to the mouth of the Kanuma. There, he cached the canoe and headed upstream on foot. Approximately 12 miles upstream, he made his base camp, and after building himself a lean-to, started to put out his trap line. One night, while wrapped in his blankets and clad only in his underwear, he was suddenly picked up by a huge male Bigfoot and carried off into the hills. He was not carried very far, probably a distance of about 2 or 3 miles at most. When daylight came, he was able to see that he was in a sort of camp under a high rock shelf and surrounded by some 20 Bigfoot. They were of all sexes and sizes. For some time, they stood around him and stared at him. The males to the front of the curious group, females behind them, and young ones to the rear. Mooshelot Harry was frightened at first, and his fear grew to terror when he noticed, he said, the large number of bones lying around the campsite. When he saw these, he was convinced the big feet were going to eat him. The big feet did not harm him in any way. Occasionally, one came forward and touched him as if feeling him, and when they discovered that his skin was loose, it was in fact his woolen underwear. Several came forward and pulled at it gently. While they looked at him and examined him, Mooshelot Harry sat with his back to the rock wall and did not move. He was cold and hungry, but his thoughts were only on escape. Sometime in the late afternoon, curiosity on the part of the big feet seemed to slacken, and with most of the big feet out of camp, probably food gathering, he thought, there came the opportunity that he needed. He leapt to his feet and ran for his life, never looking back. He ran downhill toward where he guessed the river to be, and sure enough, he soon came to his campsite. In what must have been a blind panic, he bypassed his camp and ran for 12 miles to where his canoe was cached at the mouth of the Canooma River. Father Anthony describes the story of Mooshelot Harry's arrival at Nootka as follows. It was probably 3 a.m. He and his brother Benedictines were asleep, and the village was quiet. Suddenly, there was a series of wild cries from the waters of the inlet. Lights were lit, and he and others hurried down to the water's edge. There, near frozen and exhausted in his canoe, lay Mooshelot Harry. He was barefoot and clad only in his wet and torn underwear, and he had paddled his canoe through the winter night 45 miles from the mouth of the Canooma River. Father Anthony and his companions carried the almost lifeless form up from the water's edge. It took 3 weeks to nurse Mooshelot Harry back to sanity and good health. Father Anthony, who took him into his own care, did the nursing and said that during the course of 3 weeks, Mooshelot Harry's hair turned to pure white. The story of the kidnapping came out slowly. At first, Mooshelot Harry would talk to no one. Then he told Father Anthony what had happened, and later others. When he was fully recovered to health, he asked when he planned to go back to collect his belongings, the camp equipment, his pots and pans, his trap line, and above all, his rifle at the lean-to on the Canooma River. In 1928, a trap line and all of its pieces must have been worth a great deal to an island Indian. A rifle alone would be regarded as a highly prized possession, but Mooshelot Harry never went back to the Canooma River. Not only did he never return there, according to Father Anthony, he never left the settlement at Nootka, never went in the woods again for the rest of his life. He preferred to lose all of his valuables and probably hard-won possessions rather than risk another encounter with the Big Feet. The former investigator Peter Burns' 1972 visit to the area. This is what he found. Late in 1972, I, Peter Byrne, had the occasion to visit Vancouver Island. I was on a routine investigation trip when I found myself at Nanaimo, not too far by road from the west coast and the scene of Mooshelot Harry's adventure. I drove there. I stopped in Gold River and obtained from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police some maps and instructions on how to get to the Canooma River area. Nowadays, there is a logging road that runs all the way down to the mouth of the river, and one Sunday morning, with the logging trucks out of the way, I drove there and made camp on the Canooma River. I spent several days there, walking the riverbed and exploring. I tried to make a rough determination of where Mooshelot Harry might have had his lean-to, and I found a place that offered a good campsite 12 miles from the mouth of the river on the edge of a series of high bluffs. The salmon were running in the Canuma River while I was there, and all night long I could hear them splashing up the shallow waters of the river. In the morning, Black Bear worked the river, getting the salmon that had came ashore in the night or had become entangled in the limbs of fallen trees that lay in the river. I counted 6 bears in several days. The country was generally wild and deserted, and the actual mouth of the Canuma River, where it flowed into the salt waters of the inlet, was one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. Some of the forests close to the river had been logged off, but the logging work had moved on west, and while I was there, it was quiet. The days began with morning mists on the river and then warmed to the clear crispness of perfect autumn weather. Evenings were cool and damp, and nights bright with starlight that provided almost enough light to read. I found no sign of Bigfoot on the Canuma River, nor any sign of Mooshelot Harry's trap line or lean-to. I hardly expected to find anything of the latter after 44 years. But even though Mooshelot Harry was long gone, the river and the forest remained unchanged. The splashing salmon, the cold, clear water of the Canuma River, the moss-covered banks, the shallow pools in the forest that the Canuma River drained, that were the breeding places of the salmon, the river birds, the plodding bears, the deep silent waters of the inlet. All were as they must have been 44 years earlier, when Mooshelot Harry cached his canoe and made his camp there. And that's it on that one. That's one of my favorite.
I love that story too. I always remember it from the white hair. So I heard that like years ago too, and that's one of the best tales of a Bigfoot, you know, and the man interacting. And sadly, he got to see the family from a scared victim's point. You know, It would have been nice from a place of not as much vulnerability, but he did get that insight look, and man, it did scar him forever.
Oh yeah. He was the toughest one of the tribe, you know, and that's what is odd. But the rest of them refused to go out. You know, they didn't get out there at night. And this Mooshelot Harry wasn't afraid of nothing, and you know, he come across the wrong one, evidently.
And then people in the chat, you guys like that little fire? Somebody mentioned they wanted a beer and fire, so I put a little fireplace when you're telling that story. And I actually felt like I was getting warm psychologically.
Yeah, I could see the reflection coming off my glass. I had to glance up. I didn't know what was going on there. That was cool. I don't know how to do all of that yet. That was awesome. Are you using a green screen in the background?
Yes, sirree.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's what I put that up for, but I ain't quite figured out how to make the green screen to where it looks right. Yeah, that's awesome. That looks good. I need to put me a goat back here staring at me.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Little magic, right? Little magic.
When Eric wasn't there, it still kind of looked like he was there because it had his little image still kind of in position.
That's true right there.
Yeah, that is so cool though. It's it's just a curtain hanging there?
Yeah, it's just a green screen that I purchased on Amazon.
That is awesome. Yeah, mine doesn't come out that clear, that crisp. It looks like a wall. You know, it doesn't look like something flexible.
Yeah,
it looks like a wall.
It originally had 2 metal things, and you could put it up like a curtain. Then I just decided it bends too easy, so I just tic-tac one end to the other end, make it nice and tight.
That's what I got. I like Connor's green screen. It looks like a ball cap and a couple signs on his wall.
I'm all over the place because usually I'm in my living room. But that's my main place of the AC, and my house is, like 85 degrees right now, even with the AC on. So I didn't want to be in that main room. So I'm sitting in my original bedroom of this house. But once my sister moved out, then I took over the big room. But now I got this place to myself, and my cats love coming back here because this is the room I raised them in. And this is the window that I've looked out and seen strange things after the storm, like a white blur, and I had bangs on the side of my trailer as well. right after on both sides, my sister's and my side, and just really crazy. But yeah, I like to move it around, and these are all autographed hats, and those towels are rally towels from the playoffs from Cleveland Indians and Cleveland Cavs. I'm also a big sports fan, but I dig into the curses of sports and the superstitions and all the fun stuff. I'm an Easter eggs guy, and even movies and TV. I don't fall for it. I just try to find what the hidden signs are and all the subliminals. And I just try to be well-read and widely into many things.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Actually,
that you are,
here.
for sure.
I got a question here. I never thought about this. Let me ask you guys this, because Carlo wrote, "We don't get Bigfoot in the UK. Don't think he likes the weather here." Let me ask that. I actually really don't hear a lot of stories of Bigfoot in the United Kingdom, in the UK area.
I recently I have heard of a lot of Bigfoot activity over there, but I've never been there. I don't know what the area is like, but what I was hearing, it was on YouTube. I don't remember which channel. It was one I came across just browsing through stuff, but they were talking about the wooded areas that are near the villages and the towns there. It's not like over here. You know, you could have 2 acres of woods in a fairly developed community, and you can have Bigfoot activity in it.
See, in Australia, Sketches wrote, we have yowies here in Australia.
Yep,
yeah,
of course.
Yeah. And yeah, some of the encounters I've heard about the yowies, to me, they sound more frightening than, what we have here. I think they're a more dangerous people, animal, whatever they are. I believe they're more dangerous over there in Australia.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of scary reports of the Pilliga scrub and the documentary that's based out of Australia.
Can you guys answer this question? Because Sketches, Carlos Sketches, what's a yowie? Can you explain exactly what a yowie is, different than a Bigfoot?
Yeah, honestly, there's not much difference. It's just the Australian Bigfoot. But from what reports I've heard there's 2 different variants of them. 4, like ones that like to crawl on 4 legs, that use 4 legs a little bit more, kind of like how they say the skunk ape with how it has 4 tracks, kind of what Stacey Brown was mentioning. But then they also have a hulking one that is, 8 foot to 11 foot tall, kind of like Patty. So I compare it kind of like the Patty and then kind of like the Mayaka skunk ape image too with the fangs. So yes, over there in Australia, they have the bunny yip as well, which is kind of an aquatic creature, which has hair and it's a mammal reportedly, but many other people say it has scales and it's kind of like an elephant that can move really quick, like a rhinoceros. But the yowie is basically the Australian Bigfoot. And I recommend everybody to go check out Yowie Hunters. It is a great channel on YouTube. There's 2 people and interviewers, a female and a male, that they do firsthand interviews with people, and it's unedited, just straight up. And as Americans, it's awesome to hear it. Hear different dialect and different enunciations and descriptions of these creatures it all correlates, but it's just said by a whole different type of people in English, but a whole different dialect. So it's an awesome phenomenon. And if it's happening on that side over there on Earth, then heck yeah, it's happening over here. But again, I have to say Australia is not down under. It's just far over there. These people are not upside down. Sketches, you are not upside down. I am not upside down to you. That is just silly. But yes, the Australia has the yowie, and everybody check out, I think it's called Track, Track. And honestly, I watched it like late at night, but it was one of the scariest Bigfoot documentaries I've ever seen. Like, it's actually scary because they get close to these creatures and they start growling, and it's very well made, but it's very, very impressive. But yes,
definitely check the site right here.
Yes,
Yowie Hunters Witness Audio Reports. Is that the one?
Oh yeah, you guys can just listen to that. for hours. Like, it is incredible. And she asks incredible questions. And some of these people seek therapy after because they've went through so much. And there's women, children, men, army, rocket scientists, a bunch of different people that have done interviews on there. It's incredible. But yeah, Yowie Hunters is wild. But real quick, the UK, of course, yes, they have Bigfoot. A little not as well known as in America, but they call it the wild man over there. But their main creature, of course, other than the Fae, which is everywhere, is the Dogman, American werewolf in London. You know, it has its roots. And there was a lot of people that died in the early 1900s and the 1800s to animal attacks. And a lot of people still are reporting things. And there was like a dead carcass of a big dog found over in the UK, and they said it was just some mixed hybrid, but I'm not buying it. I think it was a descendant of Ringdocus or some kind of other lycanthrope or gugwe. But yeah, it's really cool. And they try to sell us that, oh yeah, there's no Bigfoot, and oh, there's not enough room in Florida for Bigfoot. Like, guys, they're everywhere. They can get under your house, under your trailers. They're in the sewers. Guys, just open your mind and keep your head on a swivel. And I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to keep you aware that even when you're at the city park, they could be near.
That's actually a great idea. We need to do a show one day on international Bigfoot.
Oh, yeah.
You know, find the UK stories and Australia stories, New Zealand, and bring it on the air. That'll be fun.
I think we've got a couple of people. I don't remember what country, though. I've got a couple of people from across the big pond that have had encounters on our channel. I'll have to do a shout out, see if I could. I don't remember who it was. We have a lot of people from Australia and Ireland, and then just all over Europe. If I remember, I'll do a shout out and try to, if I can remember who they were. I'm sure they'll come forward. Maybe I can get them to come over here and get them to come on and share, because I'm interested in that too. I'd like to.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I wonder if I could get that group to come on this channel. The Yowie Hunters.
Yowie Hunters. Yeah, that would be awesome.
That would be so cool. She is so awesome. And then there's a younger gentleman that does it.
I always say people can say either yes or no.
Right. You should definitely reach out to
or they just don't respond.
You can reach out to Kerry Arnold too, the guy that hosted me on Bigfoot Odyssey. He's also a friend of Donnie's too. You could tell him you're a friend of Connor Flynn and Donnie. But you could host Kerry, and then he could have you on the researchers report, because you definitely spent time in the woods. And then Eric grew up in Yosemite, right outside Yosemite, and there's like 10 stories in this book about Yosemite and Mount Rainier. So yeah, you're right in the territory.
When kids went to Disneyland, we go in the mountains, we went hunting every year. That was our Disneyland.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. We got like 5 weeks and archery season starts, and I'm just like I'm like a kid. I can't wait. I live for it.
So what kind of tags do you have to get to legally hunt archery? Like, what would I have to do to make it legal?
Like for the areas where I hunt, you need a hunting license, an archery stamp, which is $5, and a deer stamp, which is $5, and I believe the management area, you'd have to have that. And that's if you're going to use just archery. All I use is my crossbow and my muzzleloader. That's all I hunt with. Mm-hmm. And that's all you need. I normally have an extremely successful hunting season. Last year was the worst one I ever had. I got one hog, a large hog. It made the magazine. I actually got it. I mean, I'll hold it up and see if y'all can see it. It's a funny picture because I drove my car, my little gold Honda car. And Chris had to go somewhere else. So I called Chris. I said, man, I got a big one and I can't get him out. I was way back in the swamp and I hurt my back going back in there. Chris come up there. We went through chest deep water, waded out there, and We drug it back, and he did 90% of the dragging. We put it on the game cart. We got it out to his truck, got it on the bed of his truck, and then I backed my car up, right against his truck, and then we drug it up on the roof. It was a big one. But I get Kim to bring me hey, baby, can you bring me that Woods and Water magazine on the table right there?
Yeah. And then after we do the magazine, we'll wind down the show a little bit. I got to leave in a little bit to pick up the wife. But guys, just let you guys know what's coming up tomorrow on my main channel, on the Gypsy Road channel. I'm doing the show tomorrow called Paranormal of My Soul. I have a guest coming on. First time she's ever coming on this channel, called Ned Paranormal. So we're going to talk to her about the birth of paranormal. What does she think what it is, and her experience of ghost hunting and all that. So that should be a fun show.
Oh, wow.
And then Connor, you got anything coming up cool this weekend that you're doing?
Yes, I'm actually supposed to meet up with Stacy Brown late Sunday, so that will be pretty exciting. I'm going down to Wakulla, and he wants to go check out his bait location. So as long as everything lines up, it's of course a couple days away, and everything's been crazy. I'm definitely gonna head over to my mom's house and try to call out for the cat. The cat honestly doesn't like me very much because I caught her originally while under my house. Yeah, all cats like me, but I think that cat somehow holds a little grudge against me. But she doesn't know, or it doesn't know, that I was looking out for it, and now it has care and love. And it was really crazy. I had to crawl under my trailer. I actually found a different dead cat. I hope it wasn't her mom, but anything could be possible. But I'm trying to think. Oh yeah, tomorrow.
See if I can get it up there where y'all can see it. I'm trying to see the screen. Yep, there. Oops, wrong way. Right.
That's awesome. Wow. Dang, that's a big one. Where is the magazine based out of? Is it based out of down here?
Yes, local magazine, Woods and Water. And Chris sent the picture, and I didn't know he'd done it. And he called me and said, "Have you seen the Woods and Water magazine this month?" And I said, "No, I don't get that." And but that's it. You see it on the roof of my car.
Yeah, that's an awesome color. A color, coordination on it.
That's the butt end. It had a white butt end on it, and he had some pretty good cutters on him. It was a nasty one, but I filmed the entire hunt. I got it on my channel, and I've done hog hunting, and there's not much that I can say that I'm good at. But when it comes to hunting hogs, I'm pretty close to professional, and I'm not by any means boasting. But I've done it since I was 7 or 8 years old, and I understand the way hogs work. And if you know the basics on any animal, you can be highly successful. And we live in Florida; it's a hot state. And a hog's body temperature at rest is 102.1 degrees, which means they require shade and water. You get around shade and water, you'll find them. And I was in an area, and I couldn't find where the pigs were. I've got sign everywhere. And so on the video, I was explaining there will be a sentry, and it's normally a boar, and he'll be away from the group pretty close, 20, 30 feet. But he'll get up next to a big tree, and he'll lay down at the base, and he's the lookout. While the rest sleep, he lays there and he keeps an eye out for, like me, people like us that are out there looking for meat. And I went and checked one tree, and there was a bed. You could see where one was laying, and I showed that in the video and explained, this is what you're looking for. And I was getting tired, and I said, I want to start heading back, but there's one other tree right there, and that's the only other place he could be. If he's not there, there's no pigs in here right now. They went somewhere. And as I went over there, I circled. I was going to come up right beside the tree, literally, but there was a little oak right next to it, and I would have to kind of wedge myself between them to cross. And so I made kind of about a 12 to 15 foot circle. And when I got out, there was a rotted opening, a big, like a cave inside this tree. And I seen a black mass, and I thought, what in the world is that? And then I seen it move. It was his ear. And I ended up, I went ahead and laid out. He was looking right at me. He knew I was there, and squeezed off, and I got him in the head, and he never moved. But he was a good one. If I'd have come out around that tree, he would have sure got a hold of me. I would have been on top of that car instead of him. But that's all I got the entire hunting season, and I have never had a season like that. And it really irked me. But I knew the beginning of the season, I knew I was not supposed to hunt. Because when I started going back in the woods after my encounter, I didn't start back until after I got saved. When I finally give up, because I couldn't do it on my own, I just gave my life to Christ and changed my ways. And I knew to live that life, for me personally, I would take every 7th year off. The 7th day is a day of rest. The 7th year is a day of rest for your fields. And in my spirit, I just had that feeling I'm not supposed to hunt this year, and I hunted anyway. I went through the entire season and I shot the one deer, and it run off and dropped. I got Chris. He come back there to go with me to find it. And I mean, there was blood everywhere. There's no surviving. It was with the crossbow. We couldn't find him. We didn't go far. It was getting dark. And I told Chris that it was cold. I'll come back in the morning. I want to get out of here. I ain't going to be in these woods at night. We come back the next morning, me and Kim and Rosie, and we brought Waddles, our dog. And Waddles could find a golf ball in a 10-foot deep swimming pool. I mean, he's got a nose, an insane nose. Took him out there, put him on the track. He was gone. We come behind him. He followed. I mean, he was right on the deer. And he got to a spot, and he just stopped. Like he was lost. The blood went all the way to that spot, and it didn't go nowhere. There was no tracks and no blood. So I started doing these circles, where we stopped. I started getting wider and wider because I knew I'd find him. There's no surviving that type of shot. Never found him. And I come back where the dog's at, where Waddles is signaling the deer is here. There's a big pine tree that fell, and a big one, I don't know, 20 inches in diameter. It's laid down. There's a bunch of the muscadine vines that were, I guess they were on the tree. And when it fell, the side they were on was the side that hit the ground. And so it's like the ground is covered in dead muscadine vines. You can't even see the dirt. They're so thick. And then this big pine tree laying on top. The arrow was laid on top of that log. Somebody pulled it out and laid it up there. There were no tracks leaving. The deer tracks ended right there. And there's no way he could have got out. There's soft mud everywhere. There's no tracks. Like something grabbed it and flew off with him. But he was gone. And that's the only deer I shot. And that was in early season in October. And then all the way at the end of the season, the end of February, I got that big boar hog. And that was it. That was my whole season. But it'll be different this year. We got a lease that is absolutely packed with wild pigs, and the area where I normally deer hunt, and I've done a lot of filming and caught a lot of growls and things being thrown at me. It is loaded with deer this year. So I'll get some meat this year. But anyway, I didn't mean to go into that.
No. So Donnie, are you going to be doing another live show today or tomorrow or anything?
Possibly tomorrow is what I'm aiming for. I gotta check with Kim. One of our goats had surgery yesterday, and we just picked him up. We got home about an hour and a half before you started the show today, and he's here. And as long as he does well, then I won't be exhausted from being up all hours of the night with him to where I'll be too tired to do it. But I'm aiming to do one tomorrow. Yes.
Okay. And guys, that's his link right there. That's.
Oh, thank you.
Goat's link, and of course down here is Connor's link to their channel.
Yes. Yeah. Tomorrow he's going to be linking up with Livewire, who had to leave his house because the Sasquatch activity got so bad. He might still be there, but his girl and the son had to leave the house because the activity was getting so aggressive. And Mark is definitely a firework. He's a live wire. Me and him have had a roller coaster ride. He definitely wanted to throw me off a cliff at the beginning, and now he understands where I'm coming from. So it's really funny. And he's another good one out there that he reminds me a lot of like Flat Rock Booger and Daily Dan. These are wise guys that have these creatures a lot closer than most people could imagine. But yeah, tomorrow I'm going to be on Missing Person Mysteries again, hopefully with the Friday Campfire with Steve Stockton, and they have 101,000 subscribers. So it's a very nice platform.
Wow. What's the name of that?
And they spoke me up. What was that, Donnie?
What channel are you going to be on?
Missing Person Mysteries. I was there last week on their Friday Campfire, and I read a couple stories, and it was the Friday the 13th one, so it was real scattered.
Oh, cool.
But Steve Stockton wants to have me back for my own episode, but that's not going to be tomorrow or anything. Tomorrow, I think I'm just going to pop in when I can. It's Friday fire camp out, so I'll just tell a couple.
Is that it right here?
Yup, and I'm sure everybody who's listening has probably heard some of Steve Stockton's stories because literally the algorithm has thrown them to us, guys. Fairies, missing people, frozen bodies turned alive, missing time slips. Steve Stockton has written a lot of these books. It's kind of up the David Paulides era. Look at that. They're premiering a video now. I actually did my first premiere last night. I want to thank all the people that were in there. There was like 12 people there, and it was at midnight Eastern time and 11 o'clock my time. So I'm very thankful, and I'm definitely going to make it like an afternoon release next time so everybody has a fair shot at it. Don't be scared to say what's up in there and meet some friends because I'm trying to just combine all the paranormal communities. We have a lot of people from Standing Goats, a lot of people from Gypsy Road, a lot of people from my interviews that I can stir up, of course, and then a lot of people that, find me through TikTok and YouTube. So, let them know that you came from Gypsy Road, Standing Goats Rescue, and just where you're from. Like, make some friends, and that's how stories and that's how bonds are made. And like Eric said yesterday, right on Chasing the Truth, a guy called me from up in Georgia, and he's right on the Vernon line, and he has like 60 acres of property, and he wants me to come out and hang out with them, and he's got a bunch of spots to show, and like that literally happened in real time, like me discussing that and finding these out. So it was just incredible.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll try to catch your show tomorrow night. I mean, I'm going to movies to see that Night House, that that haunted house movie, whatever it is. Yeah, when I get back, I'll try to catch it. So on that, guys,
I got to get up with Mark. I have not got an answer yet. I have not sent the email yet. That's what I was just looking at. So, but I'll reach out to Mark. I'll probably just call him. But Connor, let me know when you do your live one. I missed it. I didn't get a notification at all. But if you don't mind, would you message me and just?
Yeah, definitely. It was late last night, and it was pretty much like right after your show and my show. So it would have been good timing. But I'm sure you went to bed probably right after you were on. You were on for a good 2 hours, and people don't understand. It is just us talking, but it's our brains really going full cycle, and it is somewhat exhausting. It's so fun, don't get me wrong, but it's exhausting. I'm sure it's exhausting somewhat for people to be in the chat. Like it's an interactive thing.
Imagine what Eric goes through. I mean, how many different outlets do you have besides Gypsy Road? I didn't know you had all these other ones.
Yeah, this broadcast is on DLive, Facebook, Twitch, Twitter.
Yeah, wow. Eric has Gypsy Road, and then he did Horror Talk through Gypsy Road, but a lot of his people didn't really want to hear all about the movies, so he created the second channel. But he pays for a bunch of these subscriptions, and he broadcasts on Twitch.tv, DLive, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. So it's really cool that, of course, YouTube is the funnest and closest to our heart. But he's broadcasting in different countries, different languages. It's very cool.
I will be uploading this show on my Gypsy Road channel on the weekend. I was simulcasting it for a little bit. to give people on the other channel a little flavor. Hey, we talk more than just movies too.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
absolutely.
So, but I do upload this on my main channel too. I usually do that on the weekends.
Are you on that iConnect also?
What's iConnect?
One of the channels that I follow, Israeli News Live. He just he's a Christian guy, but he gets into goes into diving deep into the Bigfoot, UFO stuff. I mean, just everything, the world in general, and what's happening, where we're at, and how the Bible. He just links everything together.
I'll have to check that out.
YouTube, you know how they are. If you spread any truth, YouTube is going to find some reason to put a strike on you. And so he moved. He's still on YouTube, but he's got a channel called on iConnect, and that's the one. Let me see if it's still up. I'll show you right quick.
Check out iConnect.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
There's a
iConnect FX is what it's called.
I'll have to check that out. Now I know every episode that I do here automatically gets connected to Odyssey too.
Yep, I signed up for Odyssey as well.
Yeah, so all these shows go to Odyssey also.
Donnie, you should maybe look into Odyssey too. It's pretty much just another platform, but you can link it to your YouTube, so that way anything you do upload, it's pretty much just like a bank of videos, you know, and people do watch it through Odyssey, but as long as, say, something happened to YouTube or your YouTube, you would have all your videos at least saved there and safe.
Yeah.
And once Eric told me about that, I was like, yep, I have to do that.
And once you link, it'll start linking all your past videos too.
Wow.
It takes a while. It'll take about a week, but all your videos you've done will actually be on Odyssey once you link it.
Wow. And how much is that for the Odyssey?
Odyssey's free.
Really?
Odyssey's free.
Well, that is awesome. I set up a backup channel on Rumble, and I still have a hard time trying to figure it out. And so I've got 3 different pages of Rumble in my online, my web search on my phone, and I never close them pages out. So if I want to check just the views or anything of that nature, I got one page that's open for that part. But if I close out and sign back in, I cannot figure out how to get back on it.
See, right here, that's D-Live. We're live on D-Live at the moment. So I have my D-Live computer out. So I know if anybody says something on D-Live, I can give them a shout out here.
And they can send gifts on D-Live, like certain bananas and cupcakes, and somehow it's some kind of currency. Just like TikTok, they can send gifts and stuff.
Yeah, this is all new to me. And D-Live, I thought it was a YouTube channel. I heard you mention it earlier.
No, D-Live is it's almost a gamer type of channel, but a lot of people broadcast, and a lot of people have been broadcasting on purpose on different platforms, like Connor was saying, because YouTube has been shutting people down.
Yeah.
So if people know that you're on D-Live and all that, they know they can catch you over there just in case YouTube goes down.
Oh, that's cool. I'm going to have to look into some of that. You're ahead of me.
Connor and I was doing a show, and I was showing too much of a horror movie, and the show got shut down on YouTube, but it was still going on D-Live.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. It is. But beyond that, guys, I do got to get going. I got to go pick up the wife downtown, and I want to thank Donnie for coming up here.
Thank you.
Basically helped me out because I have plumbers here at the same time, so that helped me out. And
anytime, I enjoyed it.
Everybody knows Connor. We have to say who Connor is. If you don't know who Connor is, then guys, you've been on another world.
Hey, this might be the video that hits 1 million views. So guys, please check out my book, Big Brother Bigfoot, on Amazon, Monsters and Mysteries Around the Corner, and then my diary, Eerie Swamps, Road Trip to Eden. And then I just released Panhandle Pirates, and there's pictures of Donnie and reports from our day at along the Japolo River. And we didn't have much activity, but we had great day, and just tons of exploration, and just the vibrations of, you know, I found the guy that I heard many stories of before I even knew you. And then once I met you, the wisdom was there, the connection was there, and now we understand each other on multiple levels. And it's so crazy how it just naturally occurs.
Yep.
Yep, absolutely.
And one last thing, if somebody is brand new to Horror Talk, if you are, I also make music videos just for horror talk. I take movie horror topics and I add music to them. So I make my own music videos. So if you're into music, you like music videos, horror talk, I dump usually one or two a week on this
The
channel.
walking legend really appreciates you when he does that, man. He walks more than 10 miles every day all around Mariana, and he says he listens to Eric's music videos. And literally, it's very cool because he appreciates that, man. And
are you making your own music?
No. I take like my last one I made yesterday was Guns N' Roses, Welcome to the Jungle, but I did it trimmer style, where everything is trimmers.
Oh, wow.
Your music.
But he has done he's gotten creative with it. Like one, I forget what it was, but it was like a No Doubt song. And the lyrics didn't have, Spiderweb. The lyrics didn't have much to do with like a spider or eight-legged freaks, but the idea did. And it's really cool. And I'd love to see Eric's creativity. He's a mastermind with the images too. I love the Ewoks and the Bigfoot and the Yeti. I still remember my first episode with Dr. Wu and Eric, and it was just memorable. And so much has happened since then. And the Matrix, is trying to close in on us, but we're breaking free from it. And I'm just thankful that we can share these afternoons because I look forward to it. It empowers me, and I catch myself like needing it too. So thank you for having that platform, Eric, and thanks again for coming through, Donnie, and sharing your wisdom. And of course, man, you paint the picture so well. The next episode, I definitely want you to tell the people the story of the shrimp factory cat people down in Panama City.
Yeah, we'll have to do that.
I'm gonna end it right now because I got to get going. So I want to thank you
both
for coming on.
Thank you, Eric.
Talk to you guys later. See everybody later. Good night, everybody.
Good
Take
night.
it easy, Donnie. See you, Eric.